who is waiting for a full Senate vote on his nomination to become permanent AG, weighed in on the president's criticism over U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro after she dropped vandalism charges related to the torn reflecting pool liner at the Lincoln Memorial. Blanche did not address the specific case, but defended Pirro's jobs in the nation's capital.
Judge Pirro is doing a great job, and our city, Washington, D.C., is a lot safer in no small part to her effort and the prosecutor's efforts that she works with.
President Trump says a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz is close without offering details if the U.S. and Iran are holding talks. Iranian officials say they're in talks with Oman on a joint agreement on controlling ship traffic. Russia carried out missile and drone attacks in Ukraine's capital, killing at least 17 in Kyiv. Ukraine's President Zelensky now calling for allies to help against Russia's aggression. This is ABC News. Police in Houston are crediting automated license plate readers for helping track down suspects in an attempted robbery of a Loomis armored car Tuesday. The would-be robbers using bear spray.
Despite the extreme skin and eye irritation that bear repellent causes, the guard fired shots at the three teenagers who tried to rob him. The suspect sped away, but Houston Police Lieutenant Larry Croson says flock cameras tracked the white Mercedes to a car wash.
There were several people trying to get blood out of the back seat of the car, tampering with the evidence there. Those people are detained.
Two of the three suspects suffered non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. Croson says they're 15 and 16 years old. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
The head of the World Health Organization is visiting the Democratic Republic of Congo with the Ebola outbreak there now stretching into months. As of Monday, there are more than 3,800 cases confirmed and more than 1,750 deaths are recorded. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
An incumbent cruises and a political comeback ends. We'll have a look at last night's Washington state primary in just a moment, but first we need to get a look at the roads. Here's Lori.
Traffic is brought to you by the Seattle Mariners. Northbound 405 at 167, a collision in the HOV lane. It's backing you up to about the Valley Freeway. Renton to Bellevue, just a 1-minute slowdown. Everett to Bellevue, 37 minutes. That's down to a 4-minute delay. Everett to Seattle is a 40-minute drive. And if you're heading from Federal Way to Seattle, an easy 25-minute commute. Don't miss the biggest event of the year at T-Mobile Park, 50 Seasons Celebration Night on August 8th, presented by Darktronics. Get your tickets at mariners.com. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Frank Lindsay. Two closely watched congressional races are now set for November. The 9th District incumbent Democrat Adam Smith led the primary, 51% of the vote. He'll face Republican Doug Bassler with 29%. Independent Shama Sawant, the former city Seattle council member, placed a distant third. That ends her political comeback bid. And in the 3rd District, Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez, the Democrat, will face off against Republican John Braun. We'll have much more on this from Luke Ducey here on the Jake and Spike Show in just a few minutes. And as always, you can get full results at mynorthwest.com. A financial boost for businesses impacted by the Bite of Seattle shooting. The Seattle Times reports Amazon has created a $350,000 relief fund for vendors affected by the violence at Seattle Center on July 26th. 3 people died, 4 others were hurt. Seattle's interim police chief says they are closing in on multiple suspects. The airspace over the Spokane Complex fire is off limits to drones. State Patrol says 26 were detected on Sunday, 13 more on Monday, and at least once firefighting aircraft had to stop what they were doing because of a drone. If you get caught flying a drone in restricted airspace like that, you could get a fine of up to $100,000. Air quality alert, meanwhile, in effect across much of western Washington as wildfire smoke continues to drift in.
The Puget Sound Clean Air Agency says conditions are expected to get worse, with some locations reaching unhealthy levels for sensitive groups as the smoke spreads. That means if you need to be outside, it may be time to grab an N95 mask or be ready to stay inside if conditions keep getting worse.
That's KIRO 7's Tyra Majors reporting. Well, it turns out one of the best things at T-Mobile Park isn't on the menu, it's actually in the air. A new survey by sports platform The Lines found Seattle's ballpark ranked 4th in Major League Baseball for summer air quality. Even so, about a third of Mariners fans admit they'd never check air quality before a game, and more than a quarter have skipped a summer matchup because of heat or smoky conditions. Last month, the air around the park stayed remarkably clean. But again, as we see in our weather forecast for this afternoon, we are looking at mostly sunny and smoky skies, 85 degrees this afternoon. Hazy and hot tomorrow, 86. Mainly sunny and 85 on Friday. And then on Saturday, look for a few clouds early in the day. Otherwise, again, mostly sunny skies with a high of about 82. We've got sunshine right now in Seattle. It is 75 degrees. I'm Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
And now, it's time for the Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio. With your hosts, Jake Skorheim and Spike O'Neill.
Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Jake and Spike Show. I'm Spike O'Neill. Jake Skorheim still spending time with the family this week, enjoying his wife's. I'm not going to say what. I just brake checked myself there, folks.
Got it.
Jake Skorheim has 4 young boys, so
strapping young
guys. So that means when Jake takes a vacation, Jake gets on the clock, and his wife gets a much-deserved break. I think that's fair to say. I talked myself into it the second time. Greg Tomlin's in. Thank you very much for being here, my friend.
Honored to be here, brother.
It is the post-primary day, and that affects apparently 32% of you actually took the time to vote yesterday. I fudged that number. It might be as high as 36 or 7. Dare to dream. Luke Ducey joins us now. We're going to take not just a look at the numbers, because we've been giving you the numbers of various races around our area, but more of a 30,000-foot view of what this Washington State primary tells us about the mood of the Washington electorate and with regard to the national electorate in general.
Yeah, I think there are differences on the state level we're seeing, and then the local Seattle level for sure about where people are, maybe in where they want their politics to go and where they want their candidates to go. So let's just start with those state races. I think a lot of people are eyeing these 2 progressive candidates that have been backed by Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson. They had a rough night in Washington's primary. They both flopped in their races. Let's start with the 46th legislative district. Wilson endorsed challenger progressive Democrat Ron Davis, went up against incumbent state representative Jerry Pollitt. Davis was one of the candidate who wanted to tax corporations, make everyday life more affordable for non-wealthy people. I took this from his website.
I'm running to freeze the rent in public housing, build over 1 million homes, double the buses on the road, and make sure childcare is affordable for every family, and protect our community from Donald Trump.
I didn't speed up the. I didn't
free
speed it up.
helium for all. I guess
that's where
that's
on
1.5 times
like
speed.
That.
It sounds like.
But very progressive, progressive stances and policies. When Wilson endorsed Davis, she kind of broke though with tradition of incumbents backing incumbents. She explained that she wanted to disrupt the status quo. That's not what she wanted to do. Pollitt then called Wilson's decision to back Davis astonishing, saying that he had consistently supported the city's legislative priorities, but Pollitt took more than 54% in the primary vote. Davis got 14%, finishing last. So his race is now over. And the other race that we're talking about in the 43rd District, State Majority Leader Jamie Peterson, you know him as the author of the Income Tax on Millionaires, dominated his primary with about 71% of the vote. Sabio Howell is the other candidate who was running against Peterson. Yeah, and why don't I have her first name? And I apologize. Hannah
Sabio Howell. We had her here in the studio.
If you're listening, Hannah, and I met her and talked with her. Hannah, I apologize.
Well-spoken, articulate lady,
absolutely. Her platform, again, very similar to other progressives, though, calling for more taxes on the rich. Wilson, the mayor, said that she didn't endorse these incumbents again because she said voters were done with the status quo, and Hannah Sabio Howell was one of those that were bucking that system. And it appears that, though, voters are A-OK with Pollitt and Peterson because Sabio Howell got like 18% of the vote. She advances to the November election against Jamie Peterson. Top two go, but, you got a lot of ground to make up if you lost the primary, 71% to 18%.
So there's a nice piece, Danny Westy wrote a nice piece in the Times this morning about the backlash for the millionaire's tax, which doesn't seem to be showing at all.
Materializing at all.
Yeah, at all. Not just the Democratic Republican candidates, but Democratic progressive candidates, I should say, the Republican candidates who were running didn't get a lot of traction with the anti-state income tax messaging that they put out there. So, I mean, I think that'll change. This is the primary. You're talking about Democrats as somebody, against the tax enough or for the tax or more than I'm for the tax. When we get to the November and there's a stark contrast between I'm for the tax, I'm not for the tax, it may have a little more weight in the electorate.
I think it'll come down to that. An interesting race in Eastern Washington. Trump-backed and supported Republican Amanda McKinney leads Democrat John Dursky. You might imagine that would happen in some of these more conservative areas, but only by 4 points. So it's a close race. It's going to be a close race in November. And now let's juxtapose all that with the city, what I was kind of alluding to earlier. There is a progressive candidate, Nilu Jenks, who won the primary there for an open seat in city council, close to 50% of the votes in Jenks's favor. The next in line, Julie Kang, took 36% of the votes, so a big lead again. So when it comes to city politics, it looks like voters are saying we don't want it at the state level. Millionaires' taxes, maybe they're saying they're okay with it. I don't know. We'll see. But when it comes to the city, a Jenks win in November would shift the balance of power in the city and the city council to progressives really having a kind of a stronger foothold than they have ever had on city council.
Luke, what did the primary results tell us about Republicans here in Washington state, and maybe even more broadly, the Republican brand? It kind of seems like there's just a lot of debate, or there's going to be contests that determine what shade of blue is going to win and represent, the city and state come November. What can you tell us about the Republican Party?
Well, we've been hearing about a division within the GOP about, Trump-backed candidates versus and GOP candidates having a choice to make about, do I go with that endorsement? Do I not? Geopolitical issues like the war in Iran or the conflict in Iran, whatever you want to call it. Some candidates thinking that's hurting their chances and they don't want to be a part of that or be associated with it, but very difficult to get away from party lines and policies. I think across our state, it's saying that Republicans are losing a little bit more power, that Democrats...
Did they have any more to lose?
Well, not a lot.
I mean, the supermajority is on the table for November.
The little bit they had here and there and little footholds it kind of slipped. I mean, we're also looking at a really, John Braun down in the Southwest is another congressional seat that's up for election right now.
That's against MGP. I always wanted her.
MGP, yeah.
Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez.
She edged John Braun by 263 votes.
Yeah, it's neck and neck.
And that district went for Trump, right, in 2024?
Yeah, that's a Trump district.
But she bucked the system by becoming a Democrat and winning that district. And now, in November, here they are neck and neck in the primary. It's going to stay that way through November.
Yeah, but you have to also look at the fact that Democrats in that race garnered 54% of the vote. Republicans garnered 39% of the vote when you combine the candidates. The third place finisher was a Democrat who did pretty well.
Split the vote.
So when come November, you're talking about red or blue down there, not which shade of red or which shade of blue, to your point. So, I mean, that's – and in a Trump-backed district or a Trump-heavy district, that speaks highly for the backlash. You talked about the Eastern Washington candidate, Amanda McKinney, who was Trump-backed, who's barely eking out a win over a Democrat in that race. So is the proximity to Trump becoming more and more toxic as we get closer and closer to Election Day?
That's the big debate. So, I think we're seeing these conservative candidates, and we may see more, maybe kind of splitting with those ideals and policies of that, the White House administration and that they're Trump's policies. Let's just say what it is and what his iterations day to day, because they think it's going to hurt them.
Yeah. Day-to-day living, your cost of living, the fact that we're in a war that's going to makes your cost of living go up because of oil prices, which affect, of course, everything across the aisle. So who was a worse endorsement, Donald Trump or Katie Wilson? Because I noticed progressive candidates are doing well in Seattle with regard to city council races, but those candidates have one thing in common. They were not backed by Katie Wilson. Do you think that Katie Wilson's toxicity, given the last 2 weeks, and quite a while before that, but especially the last 2 weeks, I think that had a hand?
Just by getting the pulse of people, friends and other people that I talk with, who I consider probably more moderate, especially in the city. I live in the city. I don't see how anyone can say that there isn't a Wilson effect kind of that happened just now, because I think she in this last week especially and the ongoing issue with people seeing more and more, crime and drug use and homelessness in their neighborhoods and in their parks that are closer to home now. We always talked about it. I think the situation is going to get worse, and now we're seeing it more and more in places maybe where you didn't before. Yeah, I think that more moderate voters are kind of fed up. Everyone's looking for a solution to all these problems. No one knows what they are yet, but I think a lot of people are fed up. More moderate people are fed up with a progressive approach to trying to deal with this. I think that's what you're seeing out of moderate voters when it comes to a lot of these races.
To our area, yeah, at least.
Luke, a lot of talk on the national level about a Democrat Party infighting and the DSA, and is the revolution happening now? Is the Democratic establishment being bucked? And are we just entering a whole new era where people feel disaffected by politics as usual? Any takeaways from the results here in Washington that feed into any of those narratives about the establishment versus Democrat socialism and so on?
Yeah, and I think we've seen all along, leading up to the primary especially, and we'll see it more and more, I think, when we lead up to the November election, that a lot of voters here in Washington are kind of disenchanted by the process and the policies. Especially when it comes to things like income tax. That's going to be, huge for us until it isn't. Either a court decides or something happens, right? Yeah, I think you saw that with the election of Mayor Katie Wilson. That was obviously, hey, my life, my rents are high, groceries are high, affordability in the city. It's cost so much to live in the city where I work. And transportation is horrible, and whatever it is, I want something to change. Something's got to change, and I think these are that we're seeing votes for change, whatever that change is. And then I just think though that what I see and what I hear is you give someone a chance to go down the road of change, and very quickly they can change. People can change their attitudes about it, saying, "This is not the change I want."
Yeah, that's what we've seen in Seattle.
Or it's not enough change, or it's not what I was thinking it was going to be. I think people just want something different. They want their lives to be better, and there's no golden solution to that yet.
A recent poll I saw showed that 2/3 of America wanted a complete, clean house of Congress to vote all incumbents out of Congress. 2/3 of Americans. 40% of Americans say that neither party represents them. Feel like they're representative of either political party, represents them in Congress. But take a look at Adam Smith, who just crushed yesterday. He's on solid footing. He got 51% of the vote yesterday. And I asked because Shama Sawant ran in that race.
Mm-hmm. As an independent, right?
And we can all say that, luckily that's luckily, or however you feel about her as a candidate, as a policy. Her career's done, I would think. I mean, she'll be an activist.
Career.
Her political career is done. Well, I mean,
podcasting career could still be lucrative.
And she's got a voice, and she's got a following. The people. 12% of the vote's not nothing. She was chastising the other Melissa Chaudhry for running, saying that she split the vote from the incredibly crazy progressive candidacy, and without that, she probably would have came in second, made it to the final. But Adam Smith is doing well in a country where the incumbents aren't loved anywhere. So I took some solace in that.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. And it seemed that, in terms of the DSA discussion and the Democratic establishment, citizens willing to vote in someone like Katie Wilson, but when it comes to a state-level position, they showed more of their affinity towards the incumbents or the established people that have a reputation and have built it over years and years. So that was kind of an interesting dichotomy to dig into.
We see what inexperience plays like.
And when you have the office of the mayor as well, this was kind of interesting too. Maybe I'll just touch on this, and then I'll say that people like Jamie Peterson had. It creates a dilemma within the party locally too in the state, because you have Mayor Wilson saying, I don't want to buy into the status quo. We need some change. Here's some progressive candidates that I want to back. But Jamie Peterson at least has the backing of the governor, the attorney general, the city council president Joy Hollingsworth backs him, endorses him. As well. I asked the mayor about her endorsements about a month ago. It was at a press conference about the World Cup, and I took the moment to ask her on videotape. And she said a curious thing to me at the time. That she had made those endorsements as a private citizen, not as mayor. And I think in the moment that was her way of deflecting and avoiding answering the question, because she wouldn't answer it. But she had a statement that she had made in a previous publication. She referred me to that. She didn't want to answer on tape right there on video. So I had the moment then later to ask Hannah Sabio Howell in our studio here, and she was on Seattle's Morning News, how she felt having the endorsement of private citizen Katie Wilson versus the weight of the office of mayor. And she didn't really answer it directly, only that she would take and accept the endorsement of either of those people. But obviously, as a candidate, you want the full weight of the office of the mayor of Seattle, largest city in the state. But again, she has a lot of ground to catch up now to catch Jamie Peterson. I think those voters have made it loud and clear.
With regard to the DSA, I mean, the Democratic Socialists of America, it's easy to paint them as extreme and fringe. Some of the platform points on their website are extreme and fringe. But also point you to certain members of the GOP who find themselves in the Freedom Caucus who are just as extreme and fringe. And I don't think that 6-7 members of the DSA get elected into the House of Representatives come November. If the worst case scenario for people who don't like extreme and fringe, it's not going to a movement it's not driving the party. It's not driving the Democratic Party. The 5 or 6 or handful of people who have these beliefs. I mean, just because you have a belief doesn't mean you're able to get to D.C. and actually act upon that and enact change in that. The same way that people like Andy Ogles or whomever you can pick, there's a handful of Republicans who are just extreme.
What's wild is
who
that
don't drive the party.
And we'll probably get into this a little more as the show continues. But what happened in Michigan with Abdul al-Sayed, he's not necessarily a member of the DSA, but he's endorsed by the DSA, and he has some loose association with them, and some of his platform positions are very similar. And the razor-thin margin of power in Washington, D.C., so this one race in Michigan could really determine, who carries the Senate in November on the national level. And some of his positions are fairly extreme. And so, that discussion really is pertinent in that the Democrats, are they moving farther and farther left? And is the right, to your point, moving farther and farther right at the same time?
Well, in primaries, they always do. They always do. Primaries are extreme candidates winning fringe voters because they come out in primary voters. In the main general elections, you always tack back toward more the middle because, you get asking everybody for your vote, not just your side of the aisle. And your extremism carries more fervent and passionate voters than they do in the general election.
Have you ever gone to an overpass and with the signs and say, on election day and say, vote for my candidate and wave the signs? Have you ever done that? I've never done that.
I have never.
Because I don't have that level of passion for any candidate. But to your point, but the people do have that passion and they're motivated to do that. And I think that's who mostly votes in primaries.
In primary elections, yeah. And you're right about the thin margins of we talk about how people in this state that say their vote doesn't count. Which drives me nuts, because you talk about the thin margins, whether it's the House or the Senate. Susan Collins yesterday came out and said, I'm a no vote for Todd Blanche. Mm-hmm. And is that Susan Collins knowing it's safe for me to say that because nobody else in the Republicans will break ranks? But with Mitch McConnell not being on the floor, of the Senate floor, I'll be careful when I say that, it's a one more vote says no, and Todd Blanche doesn't get through the Senate. So all these races, the main race is paramount to who controls the Senate. The Michigan race is paramount to who controls the Senate. I mean, everybody's vote, it's so tight on both houses of Congress that everybody's vote matters. And people, we talked about how much people are apathetic to especially primary voting, the low turnouts in this state, the low turnouts in other states. Michigan, one of the most contested races in America, national attention, tons of money coming in. They had about 13% of registered voters in Michigan voted in the primary. 13%.
What I also think is relevant to this discussion is where are voters getting their information about candidates and issues and policies. And so I think in Michigan, I'll bring that up again, Abdul al-Sayed, I think, was outspent by $60-70 million from the establishment candidate. Which is incredible. But he has more of this grassroots following, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what it does to political dynamics when more and more people get their news and views from social media, TikTok, and so on and so forth.
Or their network
and these populist candidates then are able to capitalize on some of that excitement and energy and turn it into electoral victories.
But can they capitalize on a Trump endorsement and a more progressive, Mondami, Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson endorsement? We're all just...
It doesn't appear so.
Nobody knows.
We live in interesting times.
We do.
Luke Ducey, thank you so much
for having me
on all that. When we come back, we'll talk a bit about the Eastern Washington fires and the suspect in custody with relation to an arson charge with one of those 3 fires affecting Spokane. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
This hour is brought to you by Sunset Auto Family.
A wildfire disaster unfolding just east of us.
The Spokane fires
destroyed hundreds of homes and forced tens of thousands to evacuate.
Unprecedented stories of loss, devastation, and heartbreak.
It was a beautiful home. It really was.
And there was a lot of terror because it's loud, it's hot.
Join KIRO News Radio in doing whatever you can for our neighbors in Spokane. See how you can help at mynorthwest.com.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those words weren't written for history books. They were written for you. But it's hard to pursue happiness when aging is part of everyday life. John Curley here. Longevity Medical Clinic was created to help people with overall wellness and longevity, including diabetes management, heart health, weight management, inflammation reduction, nutrition, cognitive health, hormone therapy, and more. I can tell you from personal experience, being a patient for 17 years, I have a richer, fuller life, and I'm better able to pursue my own happiness. As America celebrates 250 years of independence, give yourself the chance to reclaim yours. Independence from aging. Take control of your health before small issues become big problems. Experience a smarter, proactive approach to aging, backed by decades of experience with longevity. Do what I did and feel like yourself again. Get your free health analysis at Longevity Medical Clinic. Find out how at lmclinic.com.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What if you could have the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years guaranteed? Now through August 24th, new Xfinity customers can get our best price on gig Wi-Fi this summer before it disappears. Just $50 a month for 5 years. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. Plus, it keeps you protected from online threats. And get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. Learn more at Xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.
Did you know that nearly half the homes in Western Washington are not properly insulated or not insulated at all? That may be the reason why your home is way too hot in the summer and way too cold in the winter. It may also be the reason that your energy bills are sky high. Right now, Insulation Northwest is offering a free inspection of your home's insulation. This is a $199 value and it's absolutely free, no obligation. Just call today and Insulation Northwest will arrange a time that works with your schedule. We'll perform a thorough exam of your home's insulation and give you the advice you need to start saving thousands. Everyone who calls today will also receive a free infrared screening of your home using the latest technology. This will help reveal any hidden flaws in your home's protective energy blanket. What do you have to lose? It only takes about an hour and it's absolutely free. Call Insulation Northwest today, the real insulation company.
InsulationNorthwest.com.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids.
KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Big Trees is Washington's premier tree sales and transplant company. Looking for a big selection of big trees? Visit Big Trees in Snohomish or BigTreeSupply.com.
Beauty, privacy, instantly. Big trees.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Frank Lindsay. Even as President Trump begins to tease a possible deal with Iran in the next 48 hours or so, gas prices in the United States are still above $4 a gallon.
You know, when we've seen oil drop, as it has so far these last few days because of the hope for some sort of negotiations, that does generally send gas prices a bit lower. But we are unlikely to see that kind of get dramatically lower until there is longer-term resolution in the Strait.
That's ABC's Elizabeth Scholze. By the way, the average here in Washington is $5.13 a gallon. As wildfires continue to wreak havoc on areas in and around Spokane, the state office of the insurance commissioner says it's ready to take on insurance companies that deny damage claims. Herb Weisbaum, contributing editor at checkbook.org, says for homes that survived the fires sweeping through Spokane, there could be problems hidden in the walls and insulation.
That house may have been filled with toxic smoke from all the burning houses around it, lead and mercury and cadmium.
According to the insurance commissioner, smoke damage is covered by insurance. Boeing donating $250,000 to help families and communities recover from those wildfires. The money through the Boeing Charitable Trust will go to the Innovia Foundation to support nonprofits, businesses, and organizations providing relief and recovery services. Boeing says it will also match qualifying employee donations to wildfire recovery efforts. Washington State Ferries is officially building its first new ferry in more than a decade. Governor Ferguson announcing construction has begun on a new hybrid electric vessel at Eastern Shipbuilding Group in Florida. The state will have a total of 3 new hybrid electric ferries built as part of the project. First one expected to arrive in 2030. Plan to bring back free school meals for every Seattle public school student cleared a key committee vote yesterday. The budget panel unanimously approved redirecting $3.6 million from the Northgate Commons housing redevelopment, which came in under budget, in order to pay for universal breakfast and lunch this fall. This is Council President Joy Hollingsworth.
For someone to be able to have dignity, to be able to choose food during breaks and weekends is something that we all, I think, often take for granted.
Full council set to vote on August 11th. KIRO News Radio real-time traffic now. Let's head over to the traffic desk. Check in with Lori.
A collision just finally cleared 405 northbound right at 167. It was in the HOV lane and backing you up to the Valley Freeway. Now rented to Bellevue, just 15 minutes. Linwood to Bellevue is a 25-minute drive. And if you're heading from Linwood into Seattle, you've got a 6-minute slowdown. Federal Way to Seattle, an easy 29-minute drive. But actually, it takes you an extra 4 minutes, so maybe not so easy. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
Weather forecast, going to be smoky and sunny today, 85 degrees. Tomorrow, hazy and hot, 86. We'll stay around 85 on Friday, and then just a little bit cooler on Saturday, 82 degrees, few clouds early on, but otherwise a mostly sunny start to your weekend. Right now, 76 degrees in Seattle. I'm Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. I'm Spike O'Neill with Greg Tomlin in for Jake Skorheim. We turn our attention to Eastern Washington, Spokane wildfires, a suspect in custody with regard to arson. But before we get into that really quick, Frank Lindsay mentioned during the news break that insurance coverage for those who lost everything in the fire, or those who didn't lose everything, even had smoke damage. FEMA did, of course, approve federal assistance for the Spokane wildfires yesterday. But that covers a lot of things that help immediately to the situation. Resources to fight the fire, resources to help those who have been displaced by the fire, whether evacuated or if they, whatever case it may be, with food and water for those seeking shelter, additional help to help support those seeking shelter. Individuals who have lost in this have to wait till there'll be a process for FEMA relief to some of those folks, insurance recovery, most of this stuff. It's a nightmare for folks. We had a home fire 6 years ago, and we had smoke damage with regard to Herb Weisbaum's comments about the smoke damage to a home. And it can be a real chore. Smoke damage is covered by insurance companies, but the level to which they'll make you whole, level to which they'll fulfill their requirements as an insurance customer, you have to really go to war for yourself and go to battle for yourself. And it's worth the time and trouble, but we'll keep you informed. It's a lot of work ahead of these folks. With regard to the fire itself, as I mentioned, there is a suspect in custody, an arson suspect. It was reported and yesterday confirmed that an eyewitness had gone to officials immediately after the fire was first reported in Spokane. We're talking about the trail fire. And we've got eyewitness account from KIRO, I believe it was. Let's play that. His name is Paul Child, and he'll tell you what he saw.
He was bent over, looking towards, doing something in the grass and to the tree line area. And when he saw us, he immediately stood up, turned around to face us and watched us the whole way. Kind of doing that kind of nervous shuffle a little bit, and so that's when the curiosity really got piqued. And I said, that SOB started a fire because it was in the exact same spot that he was standing. So we called 911.
Hopefully we'll be held accountable for all the action and all the devastation that he's caused to the city.
It's a 37-year-old suspect in custody now. As per the witness reports, when they brought the suspect in was arrested, he was actually stopped the day of the fire by local officials who questioned him. He said he had nothing to do with the fire. There was no assumption of arson at that moment in time, so they let him go. But then after they figured out arson was indeed the case, someone else recognized him as a previous suspect in other arson cases, and they brought him in. He had a fanny pack full of matches and a butane lighter, and that with the eyewitness account of him bending over to try and start this fire. He has been arrested. He's being held on $1 million bail.
Yeah, and previously under investigation for arson, but never charged with anything here. So this is a difficult one because hindsight is 20/20, and if we knew what we know now, you would have hoped that this guy would have been taken into custody and charged with something. But there's legal requirements that you have to meet,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
So unless you want to change the law in that regard, you're in a tough spot until you can actually prove with more evidence that this guy was responsible. And right now he's still presumed innocent, and we'll see how the justice system bears out this case here. But kudos to this guy Paul. I love his inner monologue there. This SOB is doing something. He just sees a little nervous shuffle and his spidey senses start tingling, and he's like, something doesn't seem right here. And it's just mind-boggling to me, Spike, the level of devastation that can be unleashed with just a box of waterproof matches and a butane lighter. I mean, that's all. And the conditions, it was the perfect storm, so to speak, and high winds and so on. But just an absolutely devastating story. And as you mentioned with some of the FEMA response here, the troubles are kind of just beginning for a lot of these people in Spokane. It's going to be a long road to recovery. I mean, you see there's lots of houses in the Palisades in California that still haven't been rebuilt over a year later and all that kind of stuff.
Navigating
and
the
so this isn't just a temporary heartache and tragedy. I mean, unfortunately, this is going to continue on for a long time, and the effects of it, the after effects.
Well, there's this suspect is in custody with regard to allegations he started one of the fires, the Old Trails fire. There are 3 fires.
Which is, I think, the biggest one.
It is the biggest one, 5.6 square miles right now. Or actually, Autumn Lane fire, that's the one that jumped over the Spokane River. That's at 9.2 miles. Combined, the 3 fires around Spokane have burned over 10,000 acres. They've displaced 65,000 people have been forced to evacuate, whether they've lost homes or just been forced to leave because of smoke conditions.
And I learned
700 structures
this morning there was something like 13% containment with one of them, 10% another, and 5%, which seems like small potatoes, but it's better than 0%.
Exactly, cooler
which is
temperatures.
Where we were.
And there are over 4,000 different firefighters on site fighting the Spokane fires from 12 states and Australia, sent a fire crew. A fire crew out of California has taken over command of the coordinated efforts to fight these wildfires. So, like you said, 13% containment. They've established fire lines around these fires. And that's the first thing you have to do is stop the spread of these fires, which in high wind, dry conditions is almost sometimes impossible to do.
And one of the things that's hindering fighting these fires is the fact that there have been dozens of drone incursions into restricted airspace around some of them by private citizens.
26 drones were reported on Monday, 11 more yesterday.
Which is crazy.
After it was made clear to people, there's a potential $100,000 fine for flying a private drone into an airspace where air firefighting resources are deployed.
It almost seems like the threshold to get a drone needs to be made higher. Like there needs to be more restriction because honestly, you can do some real damage here because they are contributing in some way to these fires persisting when aircraft can't go up there. Right. And fight these things, which is unfortunate. And it speaks of the impulse of the modern age to have to record everything rather than be of some use or some help to the situation, or even just someone who's looking on to have to involve yourself to go, I got to get the shot. I got to get the angle. I got to, because it's captivating. It's sensationalist.
Aren't we all we all fall victim to that, right? I mean, we've seen, how many times have you seen or even shared footage of these wildfires, of these smoke conditions? And these come from private citizens with drones. And I get it, the urge to capture these moments, the urge to be an investigative reporter.
Sure.
You know, I mean, because this is brand
like
new for
Elon
folks.
saying we're all the journalists now.
We
exactly.
are. Everybody's got a camera. Half the people have
I don't
drones,
think we're ready for that
apparently.
responsibility, Spike.
Well, clearly we're not, because
Right.
responsible drone operators would know that when there's air equipment in place, these resources in place, they had to down everybody under one of these conditions because a drone, and it almost flew into a tanker that was dropping water and flame retardants on these communities.
Yes.
But I can understand the urge to get cool pictures and be the guy who spots this, but the potential to cause further loss of property, endanger the firefighters who are there risking their lives, 4,000 of them on site, trying to get a handle on this situation. All these people that are displaced, all these properties that are lost, 700 structures have been destroyed, and it's, like I said, only 13% contained. I understand it, but resist the urge.
Yeah, there was a FAA statement released to KIRO radio here. Flying a drone near a wildfire is dangerous and can cost lives. When drones are flown near wildfires, fire response agencies often have to ground their aircraft to avoid the risk of a mid-air collision. Delays in airborne response can threaten firefighters on the ground, residents, and property in nearby communities, and may allow wildfires to grow larger. So resist the urge. Maybe at the initial impulse, you can blame ignorance, but there should be no drones flying around there now.
You know, I heard G mention this morning with regard to the arson suspect that's in custody.
Yeah.
And we have the hindsight of how badly this is affecting the community. 65,000 evacuated, 11,000 acres destroyed, 700 properties. Geez, like, this guy should get to death. This guy should life imprisonment, never parole, no parole for this guy. It's easy to feel that way when you know how much damage this does, but I wish people, it drives me nuts. I'm with them emotionally. I'm with them, but there are, like as you said, there are laws in place, there are rules in place. This guy's just allegedly an arson suspect. He's been charged with arson. He's innocent until proven guilty. Sometimes that can be a tough thing to do in our world. All right, when we come up, we'll lighten the load a little bit. We'll talk about weddings and parties and music and what it's like to be in a relationship with a musician and how sometimes that makes music the worst thing in your world. It's the Jake and Spike Show with Greg Tillman. We'll be right back.
A wildfire disaster unfolding just east of us.
The Spokane fires
destroyed hundreds of homes and forced tens of thousands to evacuate.
Unprecedented stories of loss, devastation, and heartbreak.
It was a beautiful home. It really was.
And there was a lot of terror because it's loud, it's hot.
Join KIRO Newsradio in doing whatever you can for our neighbors in Spokane. See how you can help at mynorthwest.com.
Hey, Jake Skorheim here. Beat the rain and beat the mad rush. Valentine Roofing is now offering priority scheduling for your roof replacement. When you call Valentine Roofing today, they can get your job started within 3 weeks of signing the agreement. And they make the process so simple. You're going to receive an estimate with transparent pricing and options that fit your needs in about an hour. So call 206 Roofing to schedule your free estimate. That's 206 Roofing, And remember, when you see the red Valentine van, you know your home is in good hands.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
I felt like I had pins and needles sticking into my feet like they were on fire. Couldn't figure out what was going on and suffered with it. Very uncomfortable to try to get to sleep. So I started to do some research, and it sounded like it might be peripheral neuropathy. If you have it in your feet, it migrates up towards your knees. So I thought I better take care of this. My primary care physician was only offering me gabapentin. It's a nerve blocker, and it didn't make a difference. Maybe toned it down a little bit, but it was so painful to walk. I called Sound Pain Solutions, and right away I got a good feeling. Had my first appointment. They said, we're going to help you. We're going to get through this. So I said, okay, let's do it.
I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. We use non-surgical, drug, and pain-free procedures that help neuropathy sufferers find relief.
My husband and I went on a trip through the Panama Canal, and being able to walk was really delightful.
Schedule a free consultation to learn if you qualify for our non-surgical and drug-free treatments at soundpainsolutions.com.
Spike O'Neill here. If your loved one's caregiver is planning a vacation or just needs a break, want to consider Aegis Living Respite Care, a short-term stay that provides 24/7 expert care, Aegis Living amenities, and peace of mind for you and your family. Go to aegisliving.com/spike to schedule a visit today.
Jason Rance here with Greg Nunn from Nunn Better Tax Resolution. Greg, there are a ton of national advertisers offering services similar to yours. Why shouldn't I go with one of them?
National firms are an interesting phenomena, if you will, because I hear from clients that tried them initially, and they tell me these stories that are just really hard to believe, Jason. They'll call, and the person that they're talking to is really a salesperson. They don't really know the tax resolution business at all. They're trying to make a sale. And so they overpromise, and they'll hook them with a very low initial fee. Then when that case starts moving down the road, all of a sudden the person's getting a phone call. Oh, you need to pay us thousands of dollars to get this thing done. And they tell me sometimes it never gets done.
So it's a tax resolution scheme without any of the resolution.
I really believe part of it is.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, call Greg Nunn with Nunn Better Tax Resolution. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN. Nunn Better Tax Resolution.
Thinking about a new roof or exterior upgrade, but worried about the cost? This is Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. We've created our summertime savings event to make it simple and affordable. Save up to $3,000 off your exterior project or get 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest up to 24 months. And every qualifying GAF roof is backed by our lifetime Golden Pledge warranty. One call gets you started. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today. Held to a higher standard since 1968.
Looking for a simple solution to hair loss this summer? Get the same breakthrough one-day treatment I received at Advanced Hair during their once-yearly summer savings event. Your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day, and Advanced Hair guarantees it will grow. Take advantage of your flexible summer calendar and get the most hair for your dollar during their best offer of the year. For details and a free consultation, call 425-449-8185, advancedhair.com.
Olympic Hot Tub has more ways than ever to achieve total wellness at home. Immerse yourself in a saltwater hot spring spa and let jets melt stress away. Enjoy a refreshing swim in an endless pool swim spa. Retreat to healing warmth and detox in a Tilo sauna. Then awaken mind and body with a cold plunge. You'll be saying, ah, in no time. Your path to wellness starts today at Olympic Hot Tub. Current specials with exciting savings at OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
The Mariners are kicking off 50-season celebration weekend with an alumni home run derby on August 7th, presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort. Watch Ichiro and other former Mariners sluggers in an epic post-game competition. Get your tickets at Mariners.com.
George Thorogood and the Destroyers, the baddest show on earth, with the Robert Cray Band. August 6th, the Tulalip Amphitheater. Get tickets on sale now at Tulalip and Quilcena One Club Desks or Ticketmaster.
There are 6 markets you can place your money in. Research suggests it's better to have exposure to all 6 markets. Don't miss a potential opportunity because you didn't strategically diversify your assets. Hi, Jeff here with Madrona Financial and CPAs. Request your no-cost Madrona analysis today and discover what you may be missing in your portfolio. Call 833-673-7373 right now to request your analysis. That's 833-673-7373.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. At the top of the 1 o'clock hour, we will ask you the question of the day, and we'll give you those answers and responses from you, the audience, at 1:30. We'll also have the national rundown at 1 o'clock, the top stories across the country. We'll bring those to you so you don't miss a thing. Right now, let's talk about love and music. And Greg, I know you're a musician. I fancy myself. I hang out with musicians. We all know who Mumford & Son is, right?
Yeah.
Marcus Mumford of Mumford & Son. Married to the lovely actress Carey Mulligan. And I didn't know anything about this couple. I didn't realize they were a couple. I'd seen pictures of them together.
Actually, yeah.
But did you see how they met? The story from People Magazine talks about one of the reasons they have a happy, successful marriage. They've been married since 2012. They've got 3 lovely children. Apparently they met when they were kids at summer camp.
Yeah, and then became pen pals.
Right, and then drifted apart, and then he got famous and she got famous. And since she was famous, she got to a private Mumford & Sons concert, and they felt like, they got back together. And they've been married for 13, 14 years now.
Have a couple kids together.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons they say that they are happy together in a happy relationship is because there's no music played in their house.
That's interesting, and I wonder if there's no movies played in their house either because she's an actress. But
that's a fair question,
right? But I sort of, when I read this story, I understood it because sometimes music for a lot of people is an escape. It's something you can get lost in. There's a transcendent quality to it. But for performers like you and me, Spike, who play live on occasion and sing and so on, I find myself getting distracted by analyzing what is going on with performers. Like, are they on pitch? What is this arrangement like? What did they do from a production standpoint? And sometimes I find that my reflex sort of robs me of some of the joy of music because I'm thinking about it in terms of how it's being done. And apparently the Mumford & Sons lead singer here, they have this policy where they don't listen to music in their house because it's too much of a distraction for him. So like at parties, if they have people over and they have music on, he immediately goes to analyzing what he's hearing, and he can't be present in the moment relationally with other people. Maybe that's just a job hazard. What do you think?
Well, if you're Mumford & Son, if you're that type, I listen to music, and oftentimes when we have an event, there's obviously music, and it's background, it's peripheral, you know, it's mood setting. But when you're Marcus Mumford, he says, I analyze music, I listen to it, like you said, I critique it, I get so involved. Carey Mulligan said, we're having a party, and my husband is not in attendance. He's standing right there, but he's not talking to anybody. He's not helping with anything. He's not doing anything at all except analyzing the music. And they figured out we can have parties and we have guests over. There's never any music because I'd rather he was here involved in the party and hanging with the guests and helping when needed and not being distracted by music.
There's something to be said for balance in life, right? I remember reading a story about Michael Jackson before it was right after he passed away, and why he was taking what was the substance, the agent? It was propofol, and it would like help him fall asleep, right? But it was a very strong drug. One of the reasons he took it is he couldn't get the music out of his head throughout the day. So he was so immersed in making music, performing music, thinking about music, he would lie awake at night and just hear in his head, and he couldn't turn off the voices, right? And so I kind of relate that to this story revolving around the guy in Mumford & Sons. Like, there's a time and a place for everything, time and a season for everything under heaven.
To everything.
You have to be able to shut something off, and it can't just go on perpetually. It can be all-consuming to where it sort of like begins to destroy you. I don't know if you get this experience being in talk radio, Spike, but right after I'm done here filling in, the last thing I do is turn on the radio when I get in my car. I just need that silence because I get in the mode of, if I'm listening to another host, how would I say that differently, or how would I? And I'm thinking about sort of the behind the curtain stuff or the production that went into it, rather than just like hearing the argument for what it is. So I need that kind of ebb and flow. I need that yin and yang of like on, off, but I can't have it just be permeating my every thought throughout the day. Are you like that or no?
No, I wish I was like that.
Oh, okay.
I need to work to be more like that. I find myself, I'm consuming news and talk and opinion.
Copious amounts.
All day, all night. First thing, I wake up in the middle of the night. Thanks, my bladder. I appreciate the constant reminders. And I'm literally having thoughts about this out of the other political aspect of the world. I'm just inundated. I want to put on some Mumford & Son and just drift away.
But see, that can be emotionally draining, though, and psychologically draining to not be able to turn that off.
No, exactly. I got to work on doing that more. I got to put more music on in my life to take me away from talk radio and from political opinions and viewpoints and all these things. I mean, we want to be informed for you guys, and it's not an easy job to know just enough to be dangerous, as James Lynch likes to say, about everything that comes across our desk. But we'd like you to be informed, and we'd like you to know just enough to be dangerous, and we'll have the top rundown of national stories when we come back, along with our question of the day. So don't go anywhere. It's a Jake and Spike Show with Greg Tomlin.
Choke Points with Chris Sullivan.
With Choke Points, we try to answer listeners' questions. It can be as simple as a neighborhood stop sign, or it can be as big as the budget for transportation. I don't care. I'll find the answer for you. It's really easy to get a hold of me at mynorthwest.com. We have a direct link there that gets right to me. You can also do it in the app. You can hit me up on the text line.
Choke Points, presented by Carter Subaru. Tuesdays and Thursdays on KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM.
If you've been told feeling tired, irritable, foggy, or just off is a normal part of getting older, it doesn't have to be. Hey, it's Manda Factor. Dr. Lucy Hostetter is a board-certified physician at Juvacor Health and Wellness Center who specializes in hormone therapy for men and women.
We only use bioidentical hormones because these are the exact same molecule as what your body naturally makes, and they are very safe in you versus a synthetic hormone, which can come with side effects.
She wants you to know it's not just about feeling better, it's about being healthier.
Hormone therapy is protective against heart disease, 50% decrease in heart disease, 35% decrease in dementia, 40 to 50% decrease in osteoporosis, decrease in colon cancer and diabetes.
Treatment is safe, tailored to you, and Dr. Hostetter takes it step by step. Start with a phone call to Juvacor Health and Wellness Center in Tacoma or Seattle Regenerative Medicine Center in Bellevue, or go to juvacorhealth.com and feel like yourself again.
Progressive provides protection for your boat and other outdoor vehicles so you can explore new things.
Oh, I can finally try pesto.
We meant like water skiing.
I've just never had pesto.
Or maybe take the boat somewhere new.
I mean, is pesto spicy or sweet? Oh, guess we'll find out, right?
Right. Bundle home or auto insurance with your boat, RV, or motorcycle and stay protected with Progressive while you explore.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not ready for pesto.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
As a fitness coach, my active psoriatic arthritis can slow me down. With Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, I'm treating my skin and joint symptoms so I can keep moving. Skyrizi, a prescription-only injection for adults, helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And for those who have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible. With Skyrizi, there's no daily dosing. It's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
Let me ask you something. When was the last time you compared your insurance?
If you're like most people, it's probably been years.
That's exactly why I took the First Mark Challenge. They searched rates from dozens of top insurance companies, and I ended up saving thousands of dollars.
Same experience here. And here's what surprised me. It was completely free. No cost, no obligation. They simply show you whether they can find you lower premiums, better coverage, or both.
Why wouldn't you take the First Mark Challenge? Think about it. If they can save you money, you win. If they can improve your coverage, you win. And if they can't do either, you've lost absolutely nothing.
That's why more than 11,000 clients trust Firstmark Insurance. They work for you, not a single insurance company.
Plus, Firstmark has world-class customer service. When you need help, you're talking with local people who know you and your policy, not some random call center.
Stop wondering if you're paying too much. Find out.
Before you renew, let Firstmark review.
You have nothing to lose and possibly thousands to save.
Take the Firstmark Insurance Challenge today at firstmarkinsurance.com.
Firstmarkinsurance.com.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need, delivered when and where you need them. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio, KIRO FM, and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Michigan's high-stakes Democratic primary, progressive Dr. Abdul El-Sayed was declared a victory against moderate Representative Haley Stevens. He used his victory speech to rally his base against Republican Mike Rogers, who he will face in November's general election. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has more.
El-Sayed is now calling Mike Rogers a Trump bootlicker, saying he's someone who can't decide whether he's a neocon or a MAGA, he's a corporate sellout, all these things. Mike Rogers has a statement today that says the race is now a choice between what he calls common sense or complete insanity.
A potential security threat at Trump National Golf Course in Southern California ahead of the president's visit. A man identified as 38-year-old Janine John Taylor was arrested and is now facing charges. In London, police arresting a woman in connection with a stabbing attack in Covent Garden. Police say 4 men were stabbed and they retrieved a pair of scissors from the scene. This is ABC News. In Massachusetts, the trial for Lindsay Clancy now in its 7th day. The mother is charged with killing her 3 children in 2023. Attorneys for Clancy argue she suffered from postpartum psychosis at the time of the murders and did not receive adequate care. ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer.
Witness described 4 different drugs that fell into these categories of being antipsychotic, antidepressants, or anti-anxiety. And for those groups of drugs, the witness said that they had slightly elevated levels, but nothing that was alarming. But for one drug, Seroquel, this witness said that it was double the amount that you would suspect, but still the amount of Seroquel within her system was not at a toxic or lethal level.
In Washington state, a suspected arsonist behind the Old Trails fire is in custody and facing charges. Dangerous wildfires continue to burn, but fire crews are getting a break from those conditions as weather begins to improve. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Now that Washington's primary is over, our Secretary of State has a warning ahead of the November general election. We'll get to that in just a moment. First, let's get a check on the roads. Here's Lori.
Traffic is brought to you by D.R. Horton. Linwood to Bellevue now down to 21 minutes, and Linwood to Seattle is a 23-minute drive. Heading from Renton into Bellevue, we had that earlier accident, which is cleared. 21 minutes, it's just an extra 3 minutes for your drive. Federal Way to Seattle, 28 minutes, and a 3-minute delay. Federal Way to Bellevue, 35-minute drive. We do have an incident 512 at Ainsworth. It looks like it's taking up 1 lane for, looks like a collision. Looking for the best deal on a new home? Discover the D.R. Horton Home of the Week. Visit drhorton.com and schedule a tour today. D.R. Horton, America's Builders, an equal housing opportunity builder. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Frank Lindsay. Our state's primary is done. Now Washington congressional races are set for the November general election. In the 9th District, incumbent Democrat Adam Smith will face Republican Doug Bassler. Independent Shama Sawant placed a distant third, ending her political comeback bid. In the 3rd District, Democrat Marlee Gluesenkamp-Perez and Republican John Braun each got about 39% in the primary last night, and they will face off in November. Washington Secretary of State Steve Hobbs, meanwhile, has a warning for any last-second voters in the general election. KIRO News Radio's Luke Deucer reports it has to do with new Postal Service policies.
If you take your ballot to the post office on Election Day this November, new Postal Service policies mean it may not get postmarked that same day, and your vote may not count. Advice from Hobbs on the G and Ursula Show.
Do not mail it. Put it in a drop box. There is a chance for you to mail it, but it's really you going to a post office, going to the clerk and asking them to stamp it.
Hobbs also said between 2008 and 2025, 90 million Washingtonians voted, and there were only 5 incidents of voter fraud. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
Seattle police are investigating a stabbing in Georgetown that sent a man to the hospital early this morning. Here's KIRO News Radio's James Lynch.
SPD officers were called shortly before 2 a.m. to 4th Avenue South and South Front Street. There, they found a man with a stab wound to the chest. Investigators say the victim was walking to a bus stop when an unknown man approached, words were exchanged, and the victim was stabbed in the chest. SPD Detective Brian Pritchard.
The suspect then left the scene on foot. Officers were unable to locate that suspect.
Police are looking for a white man in his 30s with a thin build. He was last seen wearing an orange jacket and blue jeans. James Lynch, KIRO News Radio.
The wind not an issue for firefighters in Spokane today. KIRO 7's Dee Dee Sun says the improving conditions are helping crews stop the fire's spread.
The Old Trails fire and the Autumn Lane fire are both 13% contained. And that's some big progress there from 0% containment yesterday. And the Fairview fire, the smallest of the 3, is now 5% contained. Evacuation orders are still in effect for all 3 fires, though some level 3 evacuations are now finally downgraded to level 2.
The fires have burned more than 10,000 acres. Your weather forecast calling for mostly sunny skies today, and it's going to be smoky, 85 degrees. Hazy and hot again tomorrow, 86. Mostly sunny, 85 on Friday, and mostly sunny on Saturday after a few clouds early on with a high of 82. 77 degrees right now in Seattle. I'm Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
And now, it's time for the Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio with your hosts, Jake Skorheim and Spike O'Neill.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. I'm Spike O'Neill with Greg Tomlin in for Jake Skorheim. Every day we ask you, the audience, to share your thoughts on our question of the day. We garner those on the Muckleshoot Casino Resort text line, and we will read those back and exchange your thoughts with the rest of the audience at 1:30 today. It was 888-973-5476. That's the Muckleshoot Casino Resort text line. Our question of the day today is, yesterday was primary day in Washington State. Did you vote? Who'd you vote for? Do you even talk politics anymore? Is it uncomfortable or even inappropriate to talk politics in today's political environment? We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Do you talk more on keyboards than you do face-to-face? Are you more comfortable and open and willing to talk politics with somebody who's not sitting across from you? I mean, these days, as I confessed in the last break, I spend so much time consuming politics and trying to become formed. And I do try to watch both sides of every issue. I try to look at news coverage, per se, that I don't agree with, because I like to just be open to opposing points of view. But I'd like to know what you think. Do you still talk politics?
You're asking me or the listeners?
I'd love to have your take on that. We'll do that at 1:30, but I'd love to hear from the audience. Again, the Muckleshoot Casino Resort text line, 888-973-5476. It's time now for our 1 o'clock rundown, the top stories across the country. And since it is Election Day yesterday in Washington and 4 other states, and one of those which, of course, was Michigan, we want to talk a little bit about the progressive movement in Washington. Luke Ducey covered how the progressive candidates across the state did pretty well in yesterday's primary, but here in Seattle, not so much. May or may not have left with Mayor Katie Wilson's personal endorsement, not her official mayoral endorsement, which I still haven't figured out the difference there. But let's talk about progressive candidates in America. And is this one of those big C change moments? You know, back in the early teens, the Tea Party found their footing because, you know, taxation had become an issue during those years. And the Tea Party swung into power and really made a statement about the mood of American politics. And as we see progressive candidates across the country gaining footholds, whether they're Democratic socialists, as in a lot of cases, or just the more progressive of 2 candidates. You mentioned the $60 million spent in Michigan on behalf of the moderate candidate, which was Haley Stevens. $60 million, and she lost to Dr. Abdul El Sayed, the more progressive candidate in Michigan.
Yeah, this is a little bit of his victory speech last night.
And despite their spending, despite their lies told in ad after ad after ad after ad on TV, We're walking into the rest of this evening with a 3-point lead. And so as folks ask, if and when we win this race, how are you going to beat Mike Rogers and their money? I want you to remind them that if we come through this, when we come through this, inshallah, that will have taken $70 million on the chin.
And kept on
and
going.
Won, yeah. A 3-point win for him. Nice.
And it might be a bit of an uphill battle. I mean, Michigan is a swing state. It went for Trump in 2024. But to the best of my knowledge, I don't think they've had a Republican senator since the year 2001. The question of electability comes up for Abdul al-Sayed, though, because he is unabashedly progressive, and I would even categorize him as far left, advocating for Medicare for all, higher taxes, on public safety. He once, advocated for defunding the police, but he's sort of walked that back now. And so the big question is, does he sort of moderate going into the general election? Or, like you said, is this a revolution? Is this a sea change now? To overcome a money deficit like that is quite amazing and striking. Is this the new norm where you can kind of buck the establishment and go out on your own in a grassroots kind of way that's often talked about, but, is definitely materialized in this case here? Is this a new form of politics? Get your message directly to the people, have a big presence on social media and say, forget traditional norms and conventions, and I'm going to win on my own terms. And so, yeah, we're going to learn a lot come November.
In that little bit of clip we played of Dr. El-Sayed, you don't want to call him doctor because that's appropriate. He's earned a doctorate. He's a doctor. He talked about the lies being spread, and you talked about the $60 million overcome. Spent by the moderate Democrats. These aren't just hair on fire. These are the moderate Democrats trying to paint him as a scary democratic socialist and far, far too left. But we see the same thing going the other way. It seems both sides are claiming now that if you don't elect us, the country is gone. I mean, seriously, I'm seeing conservative politicians and media sources saying, look, democratic socialism is communism by any other name. I watched Bill Maher last weekend.
Oh, yeah, he's very concerned about this trend. Yeah, for sure.
And again, I mentioned
their platform looks pretty commie-like in many ways.
Well, they're
seizing means of production, abolishing the Senate.
But do you really think any of those platforms of the Democratic Socialist Party, the official party platforms? You're right, they are extreme. There's no way any of those, even if so many progressive candidates are voted in, the same way that a complete abandonment of personal privacy or civil liberties or body autonomy is the marching orders of a far right element of the Republican Party. Right. That's never going to take hold. But my point is the fear mongering. If you vote for this side, then here comes communism and socialism. That's the end of America. If you vote for that side, here comes fascism and autocracy, and it's the end of democracy as we know it. I wish we could pull back the reins of fear mongering and misinformation from both sides of this issue.
There's a level of catastrophizing here that both sides utilize that I don't like. I share your disdain for that. And I think it encompasses a little bit of generational narcissism. We always hear about each election cycle being the most important election of our lifetimes, and that ad nauseum.
But this time it's true.
This time we mean it. This time it's absolutely everything is at stake.
Is that cultural, though? Because we have our level of...
Yeah, the more polarized we've gotten, I think, for sure. And it garners more eyeballs and ears when you talk like that.
It does, but
invigorates your base.
Is it a cultural issue that our level of... A threshold of engaging, of what gets our attention these days, just keeps raising in everything we do. I mean, it used to be game shows. Now it's like survival game shows. I can't wait for Cannibal Island to show up one night on my TV.
Right.
And it feels like politics, the only way you can get people's attention is to scare them into, if you don't vote for me, the country is gone.
There's a desensitization factor that goes on, so you constantly have to up the stakes.
And we're inundated with information 24/7. So first thought I have in the morning is grab my phone. What have I missed? I've got FOMO of over. I can't sleep for 8 hours without fearing that the world has come to a complete.
I'm going to draw a comparison here, and I think it's apt, but you might think it's so far out of left field that it bears no relevance in this conversation whatsoever. But I'm going to go for it anyway. Okay?
Do it, man. This is where we take chances. It's a safe space.
We have an Xbox at home, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I love retro games, and I love seeing my kids get into retro gaming because, the nostalgia factor is big for me. And so if you remember, one of the most popular video games of all time came out in the mid-'90s for N64, Nintendo 64.
Okay.
And it was a shoot-'em-up game. Do you know which one I'm referring to? Andrew probably does.
Was that when Grand Theft?
GoldenEye.
It was GoldenEye. You're exactly right. Ding, ding, ding.
All right, okay, Geek Squad, you control the board.
A James Bond video game, the Pierce Brosnan years, and GoldenEye was a cultural phenomenon, right? The big thing about GoldenEye, though, was at the time it was pretty hyper violent. And now it looks silly in retrospect because they're all like block figures and stuff, and they have these rudimentary weapons. And but I'm playing it with my 9-year-old, and I'm like, we're like shooting people in the face here in our multiplayer, and there's blood spilling over the camera when it's over. Again, it's bad graphics,
right?
But at the time, there was kind of controversy about, you're kind of just like running around killing people. The amount of games that have since come out that have then raised the stakes over 25, 30 years. I mean, Call of Duty,
right?
There was one manifestation of that game where you pretty much go and carry out a terrorist attack where you like shoot up an airport. I remember this came out like 10 years ago or so, and the graphics were so much more vivid and HD, and it's the desensitization thing that has gone on with culture over many decades now, whether it's in our desensitization to violence or talking points or constantly having to raise the stakes. I'm more one of these guys that wants to rein it in, that wants to moderate, that finds the center should hold and has to hold for society in a number of spheres, not just with politics. But do you kind of see my comparison there?
I do, but I wonder if we can, am I naive to think that we can get back to an era of politics?
I think perhaps.
Where we can talk about, maybe I am, maybe I'm the old guy, get out of my voting booth, kids. Voting booth. There's a go right there. I'll date myself right there. Remember when Al Franken resigned because of a comedic picture taken aboard a military plane? They were going to do a show, like a USO type show at a military base, and Al Franken poses for a funny picture where he pretends to be groping a female entertainer in her sleep.
Right.
That was enough for him to step away.
And that was kind of at the height of Me Too, right?
It was, and which is deserved.
Yeah.
But now you've got members of Congress.
Right.
I think one did resign today. I forget the job. I'm not going to commit the man's name to memory because he was harassing female employees within his own congressional office. He had been hitting on a 19-year-old. He's 65 and married. He stepped aside. Meanwhile, you have Max Miller of Ohio, who says, I'm not stepping aside, even though his father-in-law, who's a U.S. Senator Marino, has called for his. Now, 3 different members of the GOP has called for this guy's resignation, or at least for him to suspend his campaign for re-election. What we tolerate in our politics and in our television, in our entertainment, in our movies, in our video games,
well said,
that we let our kids, I don't think we can ever go back.
I went to the Nixon Library just 2 weeks ago, and really awesome. It's in California. It's in the Yorba Linda area of California. Took my whole family there. And what's so great about the Nixon Library is it's tastefully done, and there's awesome historical artifacts there. But it really doesn't brush over Watergate. It's a huge part of the Nixon Library and Museum. And I thought that was quite cool because in America, if it was an absolute power dictator kind of person, you would never talk about something like that, right? And they were saying, no, this was to the shame of Nixon and his legacy. And it was they had a whole timeline of how the event played out and everything. And I couldn't help but wonder, as I was standing there, in 2026, would something like Watergate be disqualifying for a president anymore that would lead him to resign on his own volition, right? And you could say, it might have been, been forced to leave office anyway, but took it upon himself to say, no, I'm going to resign. I'm going to do this. It was the wrong thing, and so on and so forth. I think someone this day and age caught in a scandal like that might think, I could weather that storm. I'll just double and triple down with fake news, with lies, and just say, I'll survive this.
About a month ago, I want to say, Vice President J.D. Vance was giving an interview, and he said, in today's political environment, Watergate is a 12-hour news cycle.
Well,
he literally
I didn't
said
know that.
It's a 12-hour news cycle. You're not wrong about that. given where we are today, double down. Never surrender. Never admit defeat. Never admit you're wrong.
And then we tolerate it just a little bit, and then an inch, and then a foot, and then a yard, and all of a sudden it's like, where are our standards? What is the threshold? What is the limits? Because they're being pushed constantly, and we're desensitized by people speaking so much BS and so many scandals going on that it's like flooding the zone of our minds
purposefully
with nonsense.
And not to keep, I don't want to keep focusing on President Trump, but he said, jokingly, 8 years ago, 10 years ago now, I could shoot somebody in Times Square and not lose a vote. Anybody think today that's really not where we stand?
Well, and getting back to the DSA topic and candidates like Abdul al-Sayed, who again is running as part of the Democrat Party and doesn't describe himself as a democratic socialist, but has many aligned policies with that branch of the party. He's saying things and doing things that previously would have been disqualifying for candidates.
Yes,
and now
absolutely.
They're becoming more mainstreamed. And so, again, this November is going to be very telling. Does that affect his electability, being so outspoken, where in generations past, this person wouldn't have even been entertained as being a part of the conversation? Now he might determine the balance of power in the United States Senate. That's why this is so crazy.
If you don't think that matters, you're out of your mind. We're going to shift gears. We're almost running out of time. We got 3 stories, 2 more to get to. Reports of foreign hacking into water systems. Now, 11 states have reported cyber attacks on their municipal water systems, including Minnesota and Michigan. Now, it's suspected that Iranians have, in regard to cyber warfare, have attacked these municipal water systems. And back to what's acceptable. The president a couple of days ago said, "Oh, it wasn't there. There's no reason to think it was the Iranians. I think it was Governor Walz in Minnesota doing such a bad job." I mean, we need people to be able to trust. We need to trust what they say. We need them to be unafraid to speak the truth to Americans, whether it's unpopular or not. The fact that our infrastructure is subjected to cyber attacks, and the fact that this government has kind of cut back the resources for international cyber attacks and cybersecurity. President Biden tried to implement EPA standards with regard to cybersecurity. It was pushed back against from municipalities who feel like we don't need that kind of scrutiny from the federal government. It doesn't allow us to do what we do. They were tasked with their own cybersecurity, and now we find 11 different water systems reportedly have been hacked by what they think is the Iranian government in retaliation for the war started in March between the U.S. and Israel and Iran and their proxies. And now we have our local infrastructure at risk.
This is another painful reminder that the conflict with Iran persists. It's not going away, and in many ways it's getting even more complicated and more vast. And I'm one of those people that's in favor of boosting funding for cybersecurity. It's amazing how reliant we are on, Wi-Fi and
as AI gets smarter every day,
protecting against hacking and things like that. And this is, 21st century warfare. I mean, you've always gone after like an opponent or an enemy's resources and infrastructure and stuff.
Yeah.
But now how intertwined that is with the cyber world is quite alarming. And so I would definitely be in favor of more funding in that regard. And
we're spending billions a day blowing up bridges or water plants or whatever, or oil depots,
fuel supplies.
Fuel supplies. From a military perspective, all they got to do is get a hacker and a computer can take down the water systems in 11 different states.
And it doesn't surprise me that the president is trying to minimize this because I think
then he would bear some responsibility with starting this war, causing this retaliation to take place.
Well, and I think he believed wrongly that this was going to be a short adventure.
Well,
right now, I don't really see an end in sight. I mean, truly, which is devastating to say, but.
Well, we have just enough time to get to our third story of the day. It's the American Museum, a Museum of America. This is a personal museum of America put together by who, Laura? Is this, she's...
Emily Keegan with the New York Times.
Emily Keegan with
the New York Times. It's an opinion piece, so it's what she thinks is
what represents, what makes us Americans, the iconic images and things that make Americans, and everything from the wacky inflatable tube guy that's in front of the local car dealership, everything from the plastic flamingo in your front yard, all the things that are very kitschy and very, very much American, the things that we see on a daily basis and we take pleasure in. The number one thing on that list, clog shoes are there. I mean, some of the things, or croc shoes, I should say, are there. Pine tree air fresheners. But the number one thing on her list, I thought, it's a real telling truth about who we are as Americans. Have you seen the list? Have you seen the number
I
one
have.
item?
I'm looking at it right now.
The $4.99 Costco rotisserie chicken.
Hard to disagree with that designation
really
as number one. I think that rotisserie chicken at Costco is one of the most versatile pieces of meat you can buy. My wife makes an unbelievable chicken pot pie. And what she does is she buys the Costco rotisserie, gets it home, shreds it apart.
I've done the same.
And I'm telling you, Spike, she gets more compliments on that chicken pot pie than anything she makes. And the secret sauce or whatever is that chicken from Costco. And you could turn it into tacos. You could turn it to anything.
You can do anything with it.
Anything.
Chicken Caesar wraps. That's what we do with it.
And for $4.99,
right?
I mean,
get two of them. I got 12 people coming over. I get 2 rotisserie chickens. I make a green chicken chili enchilada casserole with Costco rotisserie chicken, and I'm feeding 12 people for under $50.
Okay, but see, that's why I think I go back to why you and I don't like the catastrophizing, and the Costco rotisserie chicken plays right into that. That's available to everybody at a steal of a deal price.
But can you trust it? Because remember they said there was no items and they were sued recently? Our question of the day today is it still okay to talk politics with folks? Is it uncomfortable? Is it inappropriate? Is it okay to ask people who they voted for? Do you still do it in person? Or you do it over keyboards? How do you do it? We'd love to hear your take on it. It's our question today. We'll have the answers coming up next. Still time. The Muckleshoot Casino Resort text line 1-888-973-5476. The Jake and Spike Show with Greg Tom. We'll be right back.
This hour is brought to you by Insulation Northwest.
A wildfire disaster unfolding just east of us.
The Spokane fires
destroyed hundreds of homes and forced tens of thousands to evacuate.
Unprecedented stories of loss, devastation, and heartbreak.
It was a beautiful home. It really was.
And there was a lot of terror because it's loud, it's hot.
Join KIRO News Radio in doing whatever you can for our neighbors in Spokane. See how you can help at mynorthwest.com.
Are you looking for the best deal on a new home? Discover the D.R. Horton Home of the Week. With new home communities from Lacey to Stanwood, ranging from the low 500s to the high 1 millions, D.R. Horton has the right home at the best value for you. Your new home is within reach, so what are you waiting for? Learn more about the D.R. Horton Home of the Week. Visit drhorton.com and schedule a tour today. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
Here it comes, possibly the biggest online midsummer auction anywhere of heavy equipment, trucks, tools, lumber, and much more. Presented by the Murphy Auction Company, bidding gets underway at 10 a.m. Thursday, August 6th, and closes at 10 a.m. August 13th. Featured items include a 2020 Bobcat E32i excavator with less than 1,000 hours, a 2016 Freightliner 2100 Hydrovac truck, a 2011 John Deere 310J 4x4 backhoe, and much more. 10 excavators, 4 backhoes, 11 forklifts, 5 boom and scissor lifts, 5 rollers, 28 golf carts, and more than 60 heavy trucks. But wait, there's more. Attachments, roll-off boxes, shipping containers, contractor tools, lumber, and much more all go into the highest bidder. Preview all items August 11th and 12th, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at our location in Marysville, 3803 136th Street Northeast. For pictures, catalogs, and all details, visit murphyauction.com.
I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. Carrie injured her back years ago. This is her story.
My herniated disc was so significant that they did the first surgery, the laminectomy and a microdiscectomy. The first surgery failed, and I ended up with another herniated disc, which is pretty typical that herniations just move up your spine. The doctor was recommending another fusion surgery, so I researched alternative therapies. Sound Pain Solutions developed a plan that included bioelectric therapy, laser therapy, decompression, pressure wave therapy, in addition to rehab. Once we started that comprehensive approach, it went phenomenally. They honestly have given me my life back, and I'm happy to help other patients find sound pain solutions sooner.
Schedule a free consultation to learn if you qualify for our non-surgical and drug-free treatments at soundpainsolutions.com.
Hey, Spike O'Neill for Integrity Roofing and Construction. The summer is here. The heat is here. Another heat wave hits us. Is your insulation up to speed? Integrity Roofing and Construction can come over and give you a free roof assessment, free video inspection. They can tell you how your installation's holding up. They can tell you if any leaks this past winter during the rainy season. And they can do repairs, replacements, full restorations. They have a design team in-house. They really can do it all. Their work is incredible. I can tell you firsthand. Go to integrityrc.com and take a look at all the great reviews. integrityrc.com or 206-202-ROOF.
I like it hot.
Beg your pardon?
Can you make it hot for me, Dan?
I think so.
Half heated ain't hot enough.
No.
That's why I called you.
Apollo Plumbing.
Yeah, my sorry old water heater.
Oh.
Ain't getting me the hots anymore.
You want hot water.
That's what I said.
That's what we do at Apollo Plumbing.
And you're ready?
Right now.
When can you?
How about today?
Same day?
We'll have you in hot water tonight.
Clever. How about an upgrade?
A tankless water heater would mean endless hot water.
Now you're cooking.
That's just for starters.
Starters?
How about we make it a worry-free water heater?
Worry-free?
Wrenchie's worry-free warranty.
Which covers?
Repair, service, all included.
And when it wears out?
Apollo replaces it.
No extra charge?
Nothing.
Nil?
Nada. As an Apollo A-list member, you're covered.
And payments?
To fit your budget with approved credit, of course.
And I'm hot again.
Worry-free.
That's for me.
We're on our way.
Thanks for making it hot.
We're ApolloPlumbing.com.
My name is Anne. I live in the Bay Area, and I'm 68 years old. I helped my mom navigate Medicare. That was a nightmare I hope never, ever to have to go through again. It was awful for her. It was awful for me, and I just knew I never wanted to go through that. I knew that there were choices and that there were balances to be made and that it could be totally impenetrable. Chapter basically does the work for you. When you're turning 65, when you're looking at going on Medicare, they will look at all the options for you, give you advice as to what's best. One plan might be better for this, one plan might be better for that. I didn't have to do that calculation. They do the research and you don't have to pay for it. We gave a person the information, a person got back to us. You don't have to make yourself crazy.
To learn more about how you can get free personalized Medicare advice, visit chapter.com today.
Your VA loan and reverse mortgage experts for 34 years. Best Mortgage is proud to be the longest-running mortgage company on KIRO Radio. Get a no-pressure consultation from a real person, never an AI bot. Web search Best Mortgage for honest advice you can trust.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. The wind pattern will be changing over the next 24 hours here in western Washington, pushing all that wildfire smoke back toward the Cascades. KIRO 7 meteorologist Morgan Palmer says air quality will steadily improve starting tonight.
Elevated haze is the first to go. The surface level stuff, that will be a little trickier because the onshore push is just, it's not that powerful. So it's not like it just gets completely better. You're just not having as much up above, but you're still dealing with some between 7 o'clock tomorrow morning and say about midday. There's still pockets of it.
Along with the smoke, a heat advisory is also in effect into tomorrow night. Meantime, firefighters are making progress on the Spokane wildfires. Here's KIRO 7 TV's Dee Dee Sun.
The Old Trails fire and the Autumn Lane fire are both 13% contained. That's some big progress there from 0% containment yesterday. And the Fairview fire, the smallest of the three, is now 5% contained. Evacuation orders are still in effect for all three fires, though some level 3 evacuations are now finally downgraded to level 2.
Boeing announced it is stepping in with a $250,000 donation to help support both immediate and long-term recovery needs in the Spokane region. Company says it'll also match employee donations to wildfire recovery efforts. To the closing bell now, mixed results as chip stocks pulled back while the Dow set another record, Dow gaining 263 points, closing at 54,349. S&P 500 down 13 points, NASDAQ lost 221. Another foodborne illness forcing changes to the menu at a major fast food chain. Here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
First, it was cyclosporiasis linked to lettuce at Taco Bell. Now, Chipotle Mexican Grill has removed jalapenos from its restaurants nationwide after a salmonella outbreak in Minnesota sickened more than 100 people. Investigations are going on in other states where the peppers might have been distributed.
And at 1:33 now, we go to the real-time traffic desk and say hello to Lori.
Hello, traffic is brought to you by Seattle
Seattle sports. Redmond to Seattle via 520 right now, 15 minutes, but 202 very slow in both directions as you head past 520. Linwood to Bellevue now 18 minutes, and Everett into Seattle, you're looking at a 35-minute drive. Auburn into Bellevue, 33 minutes. And if you're heading from Federal Way into Seattle, that's down to a 27-minute drive. We still have something going on at 512 at Ainsworth. They've got, looks like the left lane blocked with some debris. Download the Seattle Sports app to stay in the know with the latest news, scores, and opinions about your favorite teams. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
Another day of hot and hazy conditions and improving air quality for tomorrow. Looking good by Friday. The weekend's also looking nice. Highs will be in the upper 70s and low 80s, mostly sunny skies. Right now, 79 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. Jake Skorheim's taking time with family. Greg Tomlin's filling in this week. Great job, my friend. And every day we'll ask you the question of the day regarding the news of the stories that we cover for you. We'd love your opinion on things. Muckleshoot Casino Resort text line 888-973-5476. If you hear something, then you want to say something, we appreciate your input and we'd love to share it. Question today is it okay to talk politics? Is it uncomfortable to talk politics? Is it appropriate to ask somebody, hey, did you vote yesterday? Who'd you vote for? Do you mind if I ask who'd you vote for? I mean, perfect strangers, you're not going to ask that, but you have a dinner table conversation. You have conversations with friends at a barbecue, across the table, at a bar. You know, it used to be, they say you never talk religion or politics, right? Those are the taboo subjects.
Or sex.
Sex, well, we talk sex a lot at my dinner table, but I'm trying to raise kids, so we have to have those conversations. But those are old axioms, but I think the dynamic has shifted in the last 10, 15, 20 years. We become so tribal, we become so polarized. Greg, you brought it up about how we receive information now so segmented that we can find there are so many choices. It used to be 3 channels were on for the news, and they all told you basically the same thing. But nowadays there's 37 flavors of news out there, and you can find exactly what you want to hear.
Tailored to you and all your preconceived notions.
Yeah, exactly.
Pre-existing conditions.
Right. Cognitive dissonance, is that what that's called when you seek out information that and I understand the value of that, because if you're unsure and you're worried about things and you want other people who share your opinion, you want to know that you're not alone out here thinking these things. When you have trusted news sources, whether it's on the left or the right, telling you things that you think you should be able to trust and believe. Far too often it's not, though. It's them trying to sell a message and a point of view because they know that engages the audience that comes back. Then they can sell you cars or meds or retirement plans or gold or beans or bullets or whatever it is that their particular advertisers are delivering for you. And I understand that's just the nature of business with regard to news. But I think the fact that we can't talk to each other anymore, there's a loss of civility in this country about what we can talk about with regard to politics. I find myself, I've got a brother who I love more than anything in the world. But he's of a different political stripe than I. And, we would go to...
You're not alone.
There's so many families have there's been comedy sketches ad nauseum about Thanksgiving dinner, how to avoid Thanksgiving conversations. Every year there's a story, how to avoid those unpleasant conversations at the dining room table of Thanksgiving dinner with your father, grandpa, uncle, whomever it might be, brother, sister-in-law, whoever it might be. Tom Selleck recently was asked about his political leanings. He goes, I don't like to talk about that because I don't want to tick off half the country. I'm here to entertain people. Why would I want to tick off half the country? He caught grief for that from both sides. He's like, well, you don't strong enough in your convictions to speak up for what you think and blah, 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 blah. The other side's like, well, I know what that means. That means you're afraid of people are going to, even not talking now isn't appropriate. I don't know if we've got to the point where we can't talk at all anymore. So we asked you, the audience, what do you think? Is it uncomfortable, inconvenient? Is it inappropriate to talk politics?
And Kevin in Black Diamond writes in, talking politics depends on where you are in the state and what your political beliefs are. I'm more conservative and I avoid politics whenever I'm anywhere near Seattle because it's like you're not allowed to have an opinion. They group all conservatives in with being a Trump supporter, and that just simply isn't the case. And that shows how uneducated and how a lot of left-leaning voters think. It definitely is not the inclusive left unless you agree with them.
I saw this take shape last 2 weeks ago at the Seattle, this exact point of view, the Seattle Storm game. Right?
Oh, okay.
Where the anti-trans athletes competing against biological female athletes. Remember those two kids that were at the Storm games, courtside, with the sign that says thanks to what's her name? I'm forgetting her name. The member of the Indiana Fever, Sophie Cunningham, who made a comment about, hey, look, I'm all for everybody.
Oh, right.
We love everybody, but I don't think biological men, transgender females should be competing with biological females in female sports. A lot of people share that point of view. It became a real flashpoint. There was a protest outside. These girls were given courtside seats from a very rich donor, and they were given signs, and they had T-shirts made, and they supported, biological females playing against biological. Anyway, and all the talk about was this is supposed to be the most inclusive community in Seattle with the left, and it's supposed to be so inclusive, but only if you agree with them. I think the same can be said about folks on the right. We have a hard time talking to people we disagree with because you can't just talk anymore. We do this on a daily basis. You and I share different political ideologies. We have, I hope, respectful, serious conversations. Jake and I get to do it on a daily basis. He and I have different political ideologies. And it's not about trying to convince the other person. Far too often that's the case when you talk politics. It's I can listen to you and hear your points of view. And while I might disagree with some of them, I respect you and that you have different viewpoints. So I wish we could get back to that place in our lives.
I think what's happened in this day and age is far too many people are talking at each other and not to each other. And there's a distinct difference between those perspectives and way of conducting yourself in these discussions. I go about this this way, Spike, and that is when it comes to any type of political discussion, I try to prioritize the relationship first and politics as a distant second, if not even cracking the top 10. And so, for example, and this was the big sea change for me, and that is previously I used to enter into these types of discussions about serious issues thinking I've got to prove my point. I've got to make the most sound argument in order to, crush my opponent and hear the lamentations of their women or whatever Conan the Barbarian says, right? That was my attitude. Yeah. And I could see how destructive that philosophy being carried out to its fullest was being not just on me, but on the country writ large, right?
Yeah.
And so you talked about your relationship with a family member. This summer, my wife and I, we've had the privilege of seeing my brother who lives in Nevada, going to Florida, seeing some family members, having family members from across the pond visit us here in Seattle. And boy, the relational dynamics are like front and center right in your face. And you realize the bigger the family tree gets, the more opinions flood in. The more values flood in.
The more nuts grow on the tree.
The more nuts, there you go, right. And the more differences are just brewing right underneath the surface. And I've really meditated and reflected on this a lot this summer and thinking, what is my priority in all these relationships? And that is, I want to maintain good standing and good relations with all these people that I love. And if politics is going to get in the way of that, I need to highlight where we can connect, things we have in common, whether it's like raising our kids or music or the arts. I try to highlight those things. And if politics is going to come into the conversation, I'll usually approach it with an inquisitive curiosity about what that other person thinks. And they will tell you in their responses, if you ask them simple questions, whether they're in the mood to lecture or whether they're in the mood to really kind of hash it out with you and are curious in a back and forth. And you can usually tell within about 10 seconds.
Yeah, I'll close with Helen. We had a lot of response to this question. Helen and Kent, Politic Talk has a place on radio, TV, podcasts, in my opinion. Other than that, if you're talking politics face-to-face or on social media, you're probably attempting to change a person's mind to come over your way of thinking, or you're just being righteous, self-righteous. Political speak has no place in our family, our friend talk, our casual conversation. We respect all opinions, but our hive is a no politics zone because it's so dividing. Keep the peace. Keeping the peace is good for mental health at home and in the friend zone. Thank you very much, Helen. Thank you all. We'll have more of this later today. When we come back, we're going to have for you our feeds. Feeding time. What's populating our feeds today? Maybe a respite from all this politics talk. It's Jake and Spike Show with Greg Tom. We'll be right back.
Dear Ursula, I have a group of friends who have bonded over... Hi. Hi, I'm Ursula Voitin from the G and Ursula Show, and I'm launching a new podcast called Ask Ursula. This is your space. Real life, real questions, whether it's about family, friendships, love, and yes, even the fun stuff like travel and finding your signature scent. Hit me up and ask your questions at mynorthwest.com/Ursula. I look forward to connecting with you.
At mynorthwest.com and the G and Ursula YouTube channel.
Hey, I know something you probably haven't done in a while. Climb into your crawl space or your attic. Yeah, me neither. Mike Salk here. And most homeowners avoid those areas for good reason. But it's important to check on them regularly, especially here in the Northwest, where groundwater can wreak havoc and many homes lack the proper insulation in these spaces. So when it's hot in the summer, your house gets even hotter. And guess what? When it's cold in the winter, your house gets even colder because you don't have enough insulation. The good news, you don't have to crawl into those dingy areas, because Crawl Pros will do it. They go where you don't want to. That's what they did at my house. They found a little rodent intrusion and they found the insulation problem. So yeah, they can help you get it all fixed just like they did with me. And if you need any work done, local utility companies offer rebates that could save you thousands on your project. Don't just assume that your crawl space and attic are in great condition. Do what I did. Call Crawl Pros today. Schedule a free corner-to-corner inspection at crawlpros.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. When you see this in your kitchen,
the stainless steel fridge is covered in fingerprints.
You hear this.
Leslie, people are going to think you were raised in a barn or by wolves, or raised in a barn by wolves.
Fortunately, Wyman Stainless Steel 3-in-1 cleans, shines, and protects to give you the best shine. A spray and a wipe will have your fridge shining like a mirror.
Wow, my fridge looks brand new. Your fridge looks amazing, Leslie. Sorry, I was being a little dramatic earlier.
Your kitchen says a lot about you. Let it brag with Wyman.
Insulation rebates from PSC are at historic highs. American Crawl Space and Pest Services gave over $3 million in PSC insulation rebates last year, more than any contractor in Washington. Homeowners, business owners, and PSC trust American Crawl Space and Pest Services. Was your home built before 1990? Visit AmericanCrawl.com to see how much you can save on replacing your insulation.
American Crawl, the heroes you call.
Wait, everything on this IHOP value menu is just $6?
I told you it was amazing. A huge plate of pancakes, bacon, and eggs is just $6.
Wow.
There's also French toast, a ham and cheese omelet, and oh, they got a BLT and fries now.
Okay, we're coming here every day.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Feast for just $6 with the IHOP value menu. $7 in some locations, available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
John's day is off to a slow start. So he heads to AutoZone, where he can get a battery for under $100. Lonnie, a local AutoZoner, tests his battery for free. Looks like he just needs a charge. And Lonnie does that for free too. In no time at all, John is back on the road, ready to finish the day strong. Free battery testing and charging at every store. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law.
we can help.
Old windows cost you money and security. Lake Washington Windows and Doors installs energy-efficient, high-security windows that lower your bills and increase protection. With leak armor installation and lifetime warranties, you're protected for life. Choose LakeWashingtonWindows.com today.
Keep summer outside where it belongs. Save $588 on every window and $1,088 on every door, plus free heat deflecting glass. Claim your free quote today, plus 12 months no payments. Visit LakeWashingtonWindows.com.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need, delivered when and where you need them. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
Guys, your testosterone level impacts your energy, drive, weight, hair loss, and even ED. Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your T level for free. For your free T level check, exam, and consultation, call 206-529-1111 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Hi, I'm Terry from Sky Nursery, and our summer event season is here. We have something exciting planned for you every weekend all summer long. See thousands of beautiful flowers at the 50th Anniversary Dahlia Show. Enjoy a 2-day Ikebana exhibition on Japanese floral arranging. Join workshops on mosaics, bonsai, and even carnivorous plant terrariums. As a family-owned garden center, Sky Nursery loves partnering with local artists and makers to celebrate a vibrant creative community. See our summer schedule at skynursery.com.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. We've been talking, Greg and I, Greg Tomlin filling in for Jake Skorheim, about the differences in our opinion and politics and worldview. Oftentimes, that is the result of the information that we get, that we seek and we have sent to us, oftentimes through our phone and our algorithms and our feeds. Jake and I started about a month ago talking about how different we see, what we see delivered to us in our social media feeds, in our news feeds, different platforms that we check into on a regular basis because of what we do. We try to be as informed as we can be. And I was looking at completely different worlds than Jake was with regard to his feed. And, you know, we keep in the studio here in the KIRO News Studios, we have televisions monitoring national news broadcasts. And oftentimes we will see the same story being covered by, say, for example, MSN Now, I think it is, and Fox News, or whether it's CNN or whomever it may be. And oftentimes the same story will be completely different stories from the coverage it receives. And that's what we talk about, our feed, what we get. Oftentimes I've confessed that my feed is far too political. My feed is far too, last week all I saw was, you know, Todd Blanche and the reflecting pool and Janine Pirro's face. I mean, you're talking about me waking up in the middle of the night screaming and pull my hair out because I got Janine Pirro's, reach over and grab my phone and there's Janine Pirro looking at me. Anybody should have to go through that. I'm wondering, you know, what do you find populated in your feed most? I'll tell you what's in mine right now, and it's kind of a welcome respite from
Okay.
And maybe some folks are getting tired of this, but it's Jimothy.
Oh, you're seeing a lot of Jimothy still.
Because it is Jimothy night at the Mariner game tonight.
Okay.
There is a special segment, you know, all things Jimothy all the time. A couple of weeks ago, the M's had their salmon run. You know, they did the 7th inning stretch. They run around the bases as the various salmons, the king, the humpy, the whatever, the silver, Jimothy was out there running with the salmon. I mean, we kind of reached critical mass with regard to Jimothy.
I was going to say, is this maximum saturation point, or are we at the oversaturation point of Jimothy?
I think we're at that sweet spot.
Okay, right at the sweet spot.
Because
when does the rapid decline happen?
Monday. It starts Monday. Maybe Saturday. I'll tell you what. Good.
You do have to hand it to the Mariners. They do find ways to get people to the ballpark. I look at this in terms of MLB attendance.
Mm-hmm.
I think we rank 9th out of 30 teams, average about 35,000 people a game. I was there the other night. It was packed.
Yeah.
And for a third-place team right now, and by the way, there again, 30 teams in the MLB. There are 20 teams with a better record than the Mariners, and yet we're still at near the top of that attendance list. And it just hits home to me, you know, pun intended, that we have such an enlivened and energetic and devoted fan base here for this team, and I still can't believe they've never made a World Series.
The only team.
But
the only team.
Look, whether it's fireworks night or Jimothy night, people want to go out, and you know, the little community that the Mariners form is very real here, and very fired up, regardless of whether the team is in first place or this year right now we're kind of lingering in third.
There is a special section, tonight's ball game.
Yeah,
you can buy tickets to.
Okay.
And when you buy tickets in the Jimothy section, you'll get a commemorative Jimothy T-shirt that the Mariners put together. It's a cute little cartoon drawing of Jimothy with the word Jimothy, and the O in Jimothy is the Mariner Compass logo. It's beautiful. It's sold out.
It's beautiful.
It is. Well, if you're into Jimothy and you're a Mariner fan, this is the perfect marriage.
I do kind of find it fun to see that like Jimothy sightings are a bit like Sasquatch.
Yeah.
People get really excited. And then we're getting new videos from like months ago when like Jimothy was first born and so on and so forth. I hope the little guy's still alive. I don't know if we have verification of that, but if you find that opportunity, this is one of those rare instances where I say, do pull out the camera and get that thing posted on social media because we all want to know he's okay.
You know, it's I made a suggestion to the Mariners that they ignored with regard to Jimothy Night. You know how the ferry boat food carrier was so popular?
Oh, sure, yeah.
With the Mariners. On Jimothy Night, shouldn't those garlic fries be served in a little
with raccoon meat?
No, no. See, that's why they said no. No, a little plastic dumpster.
A little plastic
plastic
dumpster. I don't know if you want to associate
it's a
your
raccoon
food with a dumpster.
I don't care how cute he is. He's a trash panda. And I thought drinks in plastic cups shaped like garbage cans for Jimothy Night.
Again, it's
come on.
Not the most appetizing picture in my head.
No, maybe you're right. Maybe not every idea I have is a good idea. I think we can all be attest
I get
to
the
that.
connection.
Yeah,
I get where you're going with it.
I mean, who wouldn't want a little green dumpster to eat my fries out of? That'd be great. By the way, if you didn't get a chance to get your tickets for Jimothy Night at the ballpark, which did sell out, you'll be happy to know that you can get tickets to Jimothy Point 2.0. The Mariners decided by popular demand, this Friday is also Jimothy Night at the Mariner game. That's right. And there are still tickets available. You have to go and buy special event tickets. A general admission ticket or a ticket will not get you the Jimothy commemorative T-shirt. If you want to go on Friday to watch the M's and get yourself a nice Jimothy Mariner T-shirt, make sure you buy the special event ticketing for Jimothy Night 2.0 as the M's play ball against the Tigers.
Can Jimothy play right field?
They picked up some. They got some at the trade deadline. All right. When we come back, we'll revisit the election results from last night in Seattle and Washington State. Lots of other stuff coming up too. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
A wildfire disaster unfolding just east of us.
The Spokane fires
destroyed hundreds of homes and forced tens of thousands to evacuate.
Unprecedented stories of loss, devastation, and heartbreak.
It was a beautiful home. It really was.
And there was a lot of terror because it's loud, it's hot.
Join KIRO Newsradio in doing whatever you can for our neighbors in Spokane. See how you can help at mynorthwest.com.
Are you looking for the best deal on a new home? Discover the D.R. Horton Home of the Week. With new home communities from Lacey to Stanwood, ranging from the low 500s to the high 1 millions, D.R. Horton has the right home at the best value for you. Your new home is within reach, so what are you waiting for? Learn more about the D.R. Horton Home of the Week. Visit drhorton.com and schedule a tour today. D.R. Horton, America's builder. An equal housing opportunity builder.
Hello, sweltering Seattle. John Curley here. Is your home staying cool? Are you losing sleep because it's just too hot? At Home Comfort Alliance, the goal is not to sell you a new system. It's to fix the one that you have. Repair first, replace only if it truly makes sense, saving you time and money. If your system's done, a heat pump gives you both cooling and heating for year-round comfort. Get real pricing in 60 seconds at HomeComfortAlliance.com. Call the comfort people. Home Comfort Alliance.
Our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn, understands the pressure that comes from owing money to the IRS. Don't let that pressure build. Call None Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. Google NUNN. None Better Tax Resolution.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
John's day is off to a slow start. So he heads to AutoZone, where he can get a battery for under $100. Lonnie, a local AutoZoner, tests his battery for free. Looks like he just needs a charge. And Lonnie does that for free too. In no time at all, John is back on the road. Ready to finish the day strong. Free battery testing and charging at every store. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. But at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited everything for just $35 a line. That's $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. Switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage and customer satisfaction and get unlimited everything for just $35 a month. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit Consumer Cellular online or in-store today. Price includes $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes and fees apply. Data speeds reduced after 35 gigabytes. Rankings done by 2025 ACSI survey.
Eric Johnson here. I spent the past 30 years working to help make our community better informed, better protected when it comes to consumer issues, and better equipped to take on whatever life throws at us. That's why I love the free Washington Accident book series from Davis Law Group. These books keep us better informed about the law, better able to protect ourselves on and off the road, and better off when all is said and done after an accident. Chris Davis didn't have to write these books. He did it because he saw a need. People who were in accidents or other legal situations didn't know what to do, what pictures to take, documents to request. Only a tiny fraction of the people who get these free books will ever become clients of Davis Law Group, but that's not the point. Chris wrote them because it was the right thing to do. The free Washington Accident book series is a must-have for drivers who want to be prepared for whatever the road might throw at them. Get yours at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Spike O'Neill here. If your loved one's caregiver is planning a vacation or just needs a break, why not consider Aegis Living Respite Care? A short-term stay that provides 24/7 expert care, Aegis Living amenities, and peace of mind for you and your family. Go to aegisliving.com/spike to schedule a visit today.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio, KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News.
ABC's Christian Cordero has more.
They're accusing him of visiting this Trump National Golf Course there in Southern California 2 times in the days leading up to President Trump's fundraising event there. And the second time, this is ultimately what the big red flag was he approached federal agents, according to investigators, and identified himself as somebody who works for the State Department and said that he was there for security details.
The ongoing conflict between the U.S. and Iran continues. President Trump says talks with Iran are going nicely to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, but Iran says it's in talks with Oman on a joint agreement. On Wall Street today, stocks ending mixed in international trading. This is ABC News. New Jersey officials say with their latest lawsuit, they're taking a stand for drivers behind 2-day Amazon deliveries, accusing the on-time retailer of keeping wages low and conditions poor.
Those drivers show up in Amazon vans wearing Amazon vests, carrying boxes with the Amazon logo. But most of them don't actually work for Amazon. They work for small contractors, which the company calls delivery service partners. But the lawsuit claims those partners are entirely dependent on Amazon to survive and claims the company uses that power to control their routes, their hiring, and their pay, while crushing any attempt by workers to unionize.
More than 21 million Americans use marijuana on a daily or near daily basis. That's a 21% increase between 2022 and 2025, according to the National Survey on Drug Use and Health. More people now use marijuana on a regular basis than cigarettes. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Coming up, November's general election begins to reveal itself. That's after we go to Lori at the real-time traffic desk.
Traffic is brought to you by Seattle Sports. Issaquah to Bellevue is down to an 11-minute drive. And if you're heading from Linwood to Bellevue, just 18 minutes. Everett to Seattle, 33-minute drive. Now going from the south end, Federal Way into Bellevue, 38 minutes. And Federal Way to Seattle is a 30-minute drive. Search Seattle Sports on YouTube, click subscribe, and get fresh video content daily. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo, and we now know which candidates will face off against each other in Washington's November general election. KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey reports two progressive candidates backed by Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson Well, they both flopped.
Ron Davis, the Wilson-backed progressive Democrat up against longtime incumbent Jerry Pollitt for a seat in the state House, will finish in a distant third place in his primary, which means his race is over. Hannah Sabio-Howell, who's taking on incumbent state senator Jamie Peterson, the author of the Millionaire's Tax, finished second, but with only 18% of the vote compared to Peterson's 70%. Mayor Wilson bucked the political system a month ago by not endorsing the incumbents. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
Two closely watched congressional races are also now set. In the 9th District, incumbent Democrat Adam Smith will face Republican Doug Bassler. Independent Shama Sawant placed a distant third in that race. And in the 3rd District, Democrat Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez, the incumbents, will face off against Republican John Braun. They each captured about 39% of that primary votes. Tacoma police are investigating a shooting scare outside the Union Avenue Walmart last night. KIRO News Radio's James Lynch has details.
An off-duty Tacoma police officer was taking a juvenile shoplifting suspect back inside the store when the teen resisted and they fell to the ground. As the officer held him down, police say a car drove by and 4 rounds were fired from a rear passenger window before the vehicle fled. Tacoma Police Sergeant John Correa.
If anyone has any information on the vehicle or witnessed the incident, we highly suggest they call into the Tacoma Police Department.
No injuries were reported, but Walmart locked down and closed early. James Lynch, KIRO News Radio.
Seattle police are searching for a suspect after a stabbing in Georgetown. Detectives say the victim was headed to a bus stop around 2 this morning near 4th Avenue South and Front Streets. Unknown man approached and stabbed the man in the chest with a pocket knife following some kind of disputes. SPD Detective Brian Pritchard.
The suspect is described as a white male in his 30s with a thin build, and he was last seen wearing an orange jacket and blue jeans.
The victim is in the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. And the girls from Snohomish are still alive in the Little League Softball World Series. Pitcher Madison Locke struck out 12 today and threw a complete game as the Northwest beat Canada 9-1. Snohomish has now won 2 straight. They play again Friday with a spot in the semifinals on the line. So your forecast now, we have another air quality alert in effect for today. The wind pattern does shift overnight, and that'll help push some of that smoke away to the east for tomorrow, improving air quality into Friday. Today, hot and hazy with highs in the low to mid 80s. Right now, 80 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
And now, it's time for the Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio. With your hosts, Jake Skorheim and Spike O'Neill.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. I'm Spike O'Neill with Greg Tomlin in for Jake Skorheim this week. Coming up in the next few minutes, we're going to talk a little bit about the wildfires in eastern Washington and an arrested arson suspect. Talk about the data center that won't be coming to Clay Allen because their city council said, let's put in a 6-month moratorium. Unanimous. We'll talk about that. But first, let's recap last night's election results, this morning's election results, with regard to Washington State's primary and the various results statewide, citywide, in Seattle. Some things we can take away from last night's results. A city council shift to the left, as it wasn't toward the more progressive, described as a lurch by the Seattle Times staff, as Nailu Jenks describes herself as a progressive lane Democrat. Took half the vote total yesterday. Did very well in the city council vote yesterday. Katie Wilson endorsed a couple of progressive candidates who did not fare well in yesterday's primary election. Probably the Katie Wilson progressive, let's try something new. Vote out the incumbents, don't endorse the incumbents, which is new for a mayor. Usually there's a very quid pro quo, is that how you say that?
Quid pro quo, yes.
Quid pro quo, about, you wash my back, I'll wash yours, kind of pat my back, whatever it is. I don't know.
Wash my feet or something, I don't know.
Something like it, yeah, it's what Jesus said. If you wash my feet, I'll give you a new project in your district. That's what Jesus
that's
said.
math. That's 1 Corinthians 4. Yeah, go ahead.
I hate feet so much.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Laura. I knew we'd get your attention with that
Nice
one.
drop, Andrew.
Katie Wilson's endorsements did not deliver well for either.
No, they did not.
Hannah Sabio-Howell, who just got just 18%, as opposed to Jamie Peterson's 71% in regard to that legislative district, the 43rd. Those two advanced to the November general election as the top 2 finishers in that primary. However, the other endorsement for Katie Wilson, Ron Davis, did not do well. He got only 14%, came in a distant third. So Katie Wilson's endorsement not what everything had hoped it would be, even though it wasn't the mayor's office, but just a personal endorsement from Katie Wilson. Otherwise, across the state, in the Southwest, Marie Gluskin-Perez.
It's going to be a big
won
one.
That primary.
It's going to be a big one.
It'll be a final between her and the Republican challenger in her district. She did really, really well down there. That's great. And that's John Braun was the Republican who was finished second in the primary. Those two will go off in the general election. And that's a very, very red part of the state, part of the country. That's a seat that's going to be the Republicans are hoping to win back.
Oh, there are Republicans in the state of Washington.
There are some.
Oh,
They're
okay.
eastern. Yeah, they're a little bit east, a little bit south.
What happened to them? Whatever happened to them?
Well, they get overwhelmed. That's what We've been talking a lot about voting and representation and how some people think their vote just doesn't count in the state of Washington. Here's a place where it does. Eastern Washington, it does as well.
For sure. I still think that the Washington State Republican Party is too closely aligned with the President of the United States. And can Republicans ever win in Washington again on a scale that makes a difference when it comes to policy? Because right now we're on the cusp of a supermajority there in Olympia, which could take shape in the November election. And I think the answer, Spike, may be an unpopular opinion, but you know me, I tend to espouse conservative views from time to time. Although I like to consider myself more independent and I lean towards the middle. I think the Washington State GOP needs to establish a brand that is unique for Washington Republicans and separates itself from towing the Trump line. Emphasize public safety, affordability, and efficiency in government, but also admit Trump lost the 2020 election, admit that January 6th, 2020 was a dark day in American history.
Not the peaceful protest.
Talk about ICE prioritizing illegal immigrants who have committed crimes while here in the U.S., and also talk about the immoral grift that is the Trump family enriching itself. Common sense conservatism, I still think, can win here in the state of Washington. But look at Trump's popularity in this state. I think he just edges out toe fungus in terms of popularity. I think it's about 26%.
Well, toe fungus spent a lot of money on that campaign.
1 in 4 people. And go the way of like a Vermont, right? Northeast, we're in the Northwest.
Uh-huh.
Vermont has moderate Republicans that win races. There's a Republican governor right there in the state that has been critical of Trump. Utah, Spencer Cox, Mitt Romney also been vocal critics of Trump, but
that
still
seems
find a way.
That's a fast ticket out of politics.
Massachusetts has moderate Republicans that occasionally win a statewide office. But I think the big problem for the Washington State GOP is just being too closely aligned with MAGA.
Well, I mean, last election cycle, 2024, when Governor Ferguson was elected, he ran against Dave Reichert, right? But Washington, to your point, the Washington Republican Party wouldn't endorse Dave Reichert. It was a Semi Bird, that was his name, right?
Yeah.
That was the Republican candidate. The Washington State GOP.
The annals of obscurity, yes.
Right? And before that, it was Culp.
Lauren Culp.
Culp.
Yep.
Lauren Culp. This state was primed for Republican control to the executive. And Reichert, I thought, I voted for him.
I did too.
I don't hate Governor Ferguson the way a lot of my conservative friends do. But I have to admit that one-party rule has not served this state well. And it really hasn't served our federal government well, with control of both houses of Congress, the executive, and some would argue the judiciary, with regard to the Supreme Court. It really hasn't served the nation well. You got to have opposing views.
Well, and Republicans need to take an honest inventory, or I don't know, call it an autopsy, whatever you want, and say whatever we've been doing has not served us well as of late. Well, right. So think about changing course in some way to start winning elections.
It's Trump devotion syndrome. I've called it TDS.
A different form of TDS.
I've often been accused of having Trump derangement syndrome. And I've admitted I think far too often of the president. I can't just talk politics because in my personal world, politics it's not something abstract. It is literally something that affects, and it does all of us. It's not abstract for any of us. It affects all of our finances. It affects our personal life. I've got a transgender child. This Republican Party, not just in Washington, but in Washington State, doesn't want to recognize my child's rights as an individual in America. And so for me, politics is very, very, very personal. But to your point about fealty to this administration, I watch Senate hearing after Senate hearing after confirmation hearing after confirmation hearing of candidates. And then we're not just talking about the Attorney General or the Secretary of Defense or whomever it may be. General nominees who just can't say who won the 2020 election.
Well,
I see these ad nauseum.
Okay.
Well, Joe Biden was certified as president. Well, why can't you say that Donald Trump lost an election without fear of being run out of town on a rail?
And some people might watch those confirmation hearings and ask the question, hey, aren't some of these line of questionings from senators non sequiturs? Like, what does who won the 2020 election have to do with this person's potential role in government? And I do think they are appropriate questions because...
Thank you. I was going to say, can I answer that or do you want to answer it yourself?
Yeah, because it proves your level of fealty or willingness to have an independent thought with the administration you're about to serve.
And do your job.
And do your and acknowledge reality and basic, fundamental, easy truths.
Well, especially with regard to those nominated for judiciary positions. You're a judge. You're supposed to judge on the law, not on ideology or doctrine or whatever it may be. With regard to Todd Blanche's confirmation, I read a quote. I think it was you were here when I read it about Marco Rubio. No, it was I was working with Angela. I apologize. Marco Rubio says, we need to confirm Todd Blanche because no one has worked harder for the president's agenda than Todd Blanche. The attorney general's job is not to work for the president's agenda. It's to work for justice. It's to work for the rule of law and the U.S., the American citizens. And that right there is, Todd Blanche works for the president. We're not going to get into Todd Blanche. We've been down that road 1,000 times. Let's turn our attention to Eastern Washington and arson. And the 37-year-old under arrest currently charged with arson with regard to one of the three fires, the Old Trails Road fire, one of the three fires currently affecting the citizenry and the livelihoods and the safety of our neighbors over in Spokane. His name is Aaron Farinasi. I want to pronounce that correctly. This gentleman was stopped on Saturday when a witness saw this individual, this 37-year-old, bending over near some brush, I should say, and then the witness, Lord, do we still have that? Can we play that clip?
He was bent over, looking towards, doing something in the grass and towards the tree line area. And when he saw us, he immediately stood up, turned around to face us and watched us the whole way. Kind of doing that kind of nervous shuffle a little bit, and so that's when the curiosity really got piqued. And I said, that OSOB started the fire because it was in the exact same spot that he was standing. So we called 911.
Hopefully we'll be held accountable for all the action and all the devastation that he's caused to the city.
This individual was stopped on Saturday and questioned by authorities who at the time weren't aware that this was an arson-started blaze. It's one of three fires affecting the Spokane area. It's the Autumn Lane fire, the Fairview fire, and this Oak Trails fire. At the time, they let this gentleman go, but later when it was realized it was an arson and they had information about this guy, they picked him up. When they picked him up, he had a fanny pack full of waterproof matches and a butane lighter. He's got a history of at least suspicion and other arson cases in the past. He's got a career. He was convicted of manslaughter in his home state of Arizona. He killed his dad over a domestic dispute about who was doing dishes. Is sentenced to 12 years, served 10 years in prison, paid his time. But now, here he is under arrest for suspicion of arson.
At the very least, it would seem like all these details should necessitate a conversation about the legal system to some extent. A lot of people read about the manslaughter conviction and then, being suspected multiple times of taking part in trying to start a fire and say, how is this guy still out there able to cause such a level of devastation and destruction with the criminal history like he had? And it's I think, reasonably frustrating to a lot of us that are like, of course it's someone like this. It always comes back to people that are already on law enforcement's radar that commit a lot of the most heinous acts in our society.
You remember when Operation Red Card was brought about during the World Cup games here, right? There was an orchestrated effort between federal, state, and local law enforcement communities to address people that they knew had troubled histories or had outstanding warrants with regard to violent crime or drug or gun possession, and they rounded these folks up prior to the World Cup. You know, to your point, if we know this guy's already on the street and there's already an outstanding warrant for this guy, were you waiting for the extra resources that the federal and state brought in for World Cup safety to have the guys to go after the people you were already going to look for because you knew this guy was trouble? Here comes the largest crowd on the face of the earth. You don't want things to go bad, so you'd be a little bit preemptive. To your point, you know this guy, you stop this guy, you know he's got a history of suspicion with regard to arson fires. You may not know it's an arson fire yet, but, you know, there's a fire burning. Someone witnessed someone doing something shady, looking suspicious around a fire. Would you want to hold on to this guy?
Yeah, I mean, investigators learned that the same man was contacted by Spokane police 1 month earlier regarding a separate report of potential arson. And maybe the depressing fact is, you know, you just don't have the resources, the time, and the money to sort of keep an eagle eye on this person.
That's fair.
At all times. And so you're a little bit helpless, unfortunately, to some degree.
And suspicions aren't enough. I mean,
there's legal requirements to have to detain someone and charge someone. And so what can you do?
You know, we talk about the shooting a week plus ago at the Seattle Center and how we still don't have an identity, or at least a description, I should say, a description of a potential suspect or suspects. And acting chief Sales says, look, we don't want to put out something that's going to infringe upon the liberties of innocent people who are caught up in some dragnet of suspicion. Well, you know, whether it's regard to a potential arsonist in a situation that's just got wildfires going crazy, or a city where the potential shooter might be on the ground. How is maybe infringing on someone's, sorry, we picked you up for questioning, you're the right guy, we let you go. That happens every single day.
But that's wild to me that in a public space with that many people, we still don't have... I mean, at least to our public knowledge, an account of who the
suspect is, or even what he looks like that we could be looking out for. I mean,
really?
I'd like to know a gender, an age, a height, you know, an ethnicity, maybe to help out the local law enforcement community sign this. They're asking for tips. They always have been. They had 80 different tips 2 days after the event. They had 80 different tips that were conflicting that they had to cross-reference for similarities in the eyewitness descriptions. Story today is that there really isn't cameras. There really aren't cameras, I should say, at Seattle Center. Initially, we were told there were surveillance cameras, but didn't cover the particular space where the shooting took place. Now we're finding out that there really aren't cameras at all.
And by the way, I wasn't on the show yesterday, but did you cover some of the Seattle groups that are pressuring Mayor Wilson to re-implement those 22 CCTVs? And where do you come down on that?
All the major venues that are there, all the major, the Seattle Sporting Council, various groups that count on people coming to Seattle to take part in various events. And this we're talking specifically to the Stadium District. I'm all for it. I'm not big on the surveillance state, but I was talking to Mike Lewis yesterday during this exact time. And it's like, look, the idea of our personal privacy being compromised, I think that genie is out of the bottle.
I just submit to the fact that I'm probably being filmed if I'm out in public in some way or another.
Right. And if you're at a place like the Seattle Center, you really don't, or the Stadium District, I don't know if you have the right to privacy. The question is, who's going to have access to the information? Can it be managed responsibly?
But that's speculative rather than like hard evidence proving that.
Right. And so that's the balance we have to find. That's the decision we have to make. Is the surrender of our privacy? Is that an okay price to pay to realize that we can be safer? You know, that if there were officers on site at Seattle Center, or if we knew that there was going to be 24-hour, 100% surveillance of that area, maybe somebody would think twice before they pull a gun and start shooting back at somebody. I mean, you don't know, but why not give yourself every opportunity and every asset involved to keep the city safe?
Yeah, it seems like
change topic, but
no, it relates, and I find it utter common sense that the city should do this. And reasonable people can disagree when we're talking about security and privacy and so on, but there are some designations that just seem so obvious, and the fact that all these groups have come together to pressure the mayor to do this speaks volumes. And I think you can carry this out in such a way that still does preserve, civil liberties and also keeps people safe, and public safety is the number one priority of the city's leaders. So.
Mayor Wilson's concerns regarding cameras at the FIFA matches were exacerbated by this administration, Trump administration saying, we won't guarantee you we won't use ICE resources to do immigration work at World Cup games. Now, even though the city council assured the mayor that there are securities and there are guarantees in place about privacy and about misuse of information. Yeah, I think we have to find that balance between safety and our own personal privacy and respect for that. Real quickly before we run out of time here, let's talk about data centers in Cle Elum, because the City Council of Cle Elum voted 9-0 to put a 6-month moratorium on data centers in that community, even though there's already land designated for what would be considered a mega data center. I believe a 60 megawatt data center in Cle Elum. I spoke to John Curley off the air. I hope he doesn't mind sharing. I don't think he would be. That community could definitely use the financial assistance that a massive data center would bring to that community. There is vast resources there, vast space there.
They'd probably have to pay a lot of property taxes, right?
They would. They were talking about,
But how many jobs are we talking about? A few dozen, or?
Well, from what John was telling me, and he'll probably cover this more because it's his community that was voted yesterday to not bring in the financial benefits of a data center. Talking about 70 jobs. They're talking about putting the data center on the periphery of the community itself, taking some mitigating steps to help govern against the concerns that come with mega data centers with regard to noise pollution or intrusion, its effect on the wildlife habitat that it finds itself in.
And I don't
water
mind
usage,
some of
all those
these
things.
I don't mind some of these pauses that are taking effect, as long as that doesn't become analysis paralysis. Because I think there is some urgency here to get these data centers built, but there is also a lot of hot air and catastrophizing going on. Some of the concerns are absolutely warranted, but a lot of that is regional in terms of water sources and so on and so forth. And some of that is fear-mongering. I would just highly encourage people to get well-versed on both sides of the debate, because it is a robust debate that's taking place, and there is a need for some of this. There could be economic stimulation as a result of it.
And we're
and
using
technological
AI.
advancements, and we're all using it exactly right. And so it can make some things better, but there are legitimate concerns. But I would just, I know Erin Brockovich is really big on this right now.
I saw a piece.
She's been all over the place.
Well, she was saying that we talk about how much water data centers use with regard, like in reference to a golf course. But then she also mentioned that, the mega data centers we're talking about, some of these massive facilities, they use like 3 times the amount of water that people often reference when they say a golf course.
But some of it can be
uses more water.
recycled and so on and so forth.
Like the Cle Elum situation. All right, when we come back, our own Charlie Harger has a nice piece about why voting's primary day should be moved, because August is stupid. We'll have Charlie right next. Don't go there.
This hour is brought to you by Davis Law Group.
A wildfire disaster unfolding just east of us.
The Spokane fires
destroyed hundreds of homes and forced tens of thousands to evacuate.
Unprecedented stories of loss, devastation, and heartbreak.
It was a beautiful home. It really was.
And there was a lot of terror because it's loud, it's hot.
Join KIRO News Radio in doing whatever you can for our neighbors in Spokane. See how you can help at mynorthwest.com.
Hey, Jake Skorheim here. There's been a rash of reports of fake contractors ripping homeowners off for roof replacements and other jobs. That's why it is so important to know the company coming to your home. And that's why I put my name behind Valentine Roofing. Every customer can expect the Valentine experience. That's seamless communication, meticulous cleanup, and extra mile service. So if you think your roof is on its last legs, if you want to beat the rain and beat the mad rush, Valentine Roofing is now offering priority scheduling for your roof replacement. That means when you call Valentine Roofing today, they can get your job started within 3 weeks of signing the agreement. And they make the process so simple. You can expect an estimate with transparent pricing and options that fit your needs in about an hour. Since 2008, thousands of Western Washington homeowners like me have chosen Valentine Roofing for their roofing needs, and you can trust them too. So call 206 Roofing to schedule your free estimate. That's 206 Roofing. And remember, when you see the red Valentine van, you know your home is in good hands.
Hey, I know something you probably haven't done in a while. Climb into your crawl space or your attic. Yeah, me neither. Mike Salk here. And most homeowners avoid those areas for good reason. But it's important to check on them regularly, especially here in the Northwest, where groundwater can wreak havoc and many homes lack the proper insulation in these spaces. So when it's hot in the summer, your house gets even hotter. And guess what? When it's cold in the winter, your house gets even colder because you don't have enough insulation. The good news, you don't have to crawl into into those dingy areas because Crawl Pros will do it. They go where you don't want to. That's what they did at my house. They found a little rodent intrusion and they found the insulation problems. So yeah, they can help you get it all fixed just like they did with me. And if you need any work done, local utility companies offer rebates that could save you thousands on your project. Don't just assume that your crawl space and attic are in great condition. Do what I did. Call Crawl Pros today. Schedule a free corner-to-corner inspection at crawlpros.com.
Here it comes. Possibly the biggest online midsummer auction anywhere of heavy equipment, trucks, tools, lumber, and much more. Presented by the Murphy Auction Company, bidding gets underway at 10 a.m. Thursday, August 6th, and closes at 10 a.m. August 13th. Featured items include a 2020 Bobcat E32i excavator with less than 1,000 hours, a 2016 Freightliner 2100 Hydrovac truck, a 2011 John Deere 310J 4x4 backhoe, and much more. 10 excavators, 4 backhoes, 11 forklifts, 5 boom and scissor lifts, 5 rollers, 28 golf carts, and more than 60 heavy trucks. But wait, there's more. Attachments, roll-off boxes, shipping containers, contractor tools, lumber, and much more all go into the highest bidder. Preview all items August 11th and 12th, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at our location in Marysville, 3803 136th Street Northeast. For pictures, catalogs, and all details, visit murphyauction.com.
Golden Crest Metals helps investors understand how physical gold and silver can be held inside qualified retirement accounts without pressure or confusion. Our team brings decades of experience in precious metals and retirement planning with a focus on clear education, straightforward pricing, and a process designed to put clients first. Why do investors choose Golden Crest Metals? Experience, transparency, and a client-first approach. Tune into The Gold Show with Kenny Michaels every Saturday at 1 p.m.
Holy smokes!
The On Cruise Adventures Rick Riz Show.
What happened at the ballpark yesterday?
Sparky's sitting on my scorebook here, my cat is.
Friday mornings at 8:15 on Seattle's Morning News.
Looking for a simple solution to hair loss this summer? Get the same breakthrough one-day treatment I received at Advanced Hair during their once-yearly summer savings event. Your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day, and Advanced Hair guarantees it will grow. Take advantage of your flexible summer calendar and get the most hair for your dollar during their best offer of the year. For details and a free consultation, call 425-449-8185, advancedhair.com.
Is your car's AC blowing warm air? Don't sweat it. Right now, save $50 on any AC service at Bucky's Complete Auto Repair. Honest pricing, guaranteed work, 16 family-owned locations, and no appointment needed. Stay cool this summer. Bucky's.com.
At Lake Washington Windows and Doors, we provide top-quality windows that are 25% more energy efficient, reduce noise by 50%, and stay clear with low-maintenance glass. With leak armor installation and lifetime warranties, you're protected for life. Visit LakeWashingtonWindows.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. Improving weather conditions are helping crews get a handle on those Spokane wildfires. ABC's Alex Stone is outside Spokane with the latest.
The winds have been non-existent here, and firefighters are telling us, in fact, I spent some time yesterday talking to an LA fire division chief. He says that these fires are not very active any longer because they had the weather change.
2 of the fires are now 13% contained. The other has 5% containment. Improving air quality is also on the horizon around Puget Sound starting tonight. KIRO 7 meteorologist Nick Allard says upper-level smoke will be the first to go.
Surface-level smoke will take all day tomorrow. It's already going to be a little better. It's just going to take all day, and you'll probably still have some into Friday in the mid-80s. Gets a little cooler this weekend, though. Morning clouds, afternoon sun, and fresh ocean air.
Senate Democrats and Republicans promise to join forces to help wildfire victims across eastern Washington. Budget leaders Yasmin Trudeau and Mark Chesler say they will work together to secure state funding next session for homeowners who lost property in the Spokane fires. A data center could be coming to Cle Elum, even though that city just passed a new 6-month moratorium. Details from KIRO Radio's Frank Lindsay.
Blue Fern Development wants to build a 20-megawatt, $200 million, 100,000-square-foot data center near I-90, according to the Seattle Times. That's about 10 times smaller in terms of size and power use than data centers Microsoft has planned for Chelan County. A pre-existing development deal on the site may override the ban. The city will hold a public hearing on September 8th. Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
Google lays off 52 employees across its Seattle area offices. Most affected workers were notified back in July, with separation dates about 2 months out now. Google says the layoffs are part of a routine reorganization, not broader cuts. The move follows a wave of tech layoffs across the region this year, including thousands at Amazon and hundreds more at Microsoft and Meta. Now to the real-time traffic desk at 2:33. Here's Lori.
If you're heading southbound on I-5 Alderwood to Seattle, 38 minutes. Alderwood to Alderwood to South Center, let's call it that, a 38-minute drive. And if you're on 405, that's going to be a 47-minute drive. In the reverse direction, about the same. South Center to Alderwood, 405 is 52 minutes, 57 on I-5. And already Bellevue to Federal Way is just under an hour at 57 minutes. I'm Lori, KIRO Real-Time Traffic.
A heat advisory and an air quality alert for the region today. It continues into tomorrow, but the winds start to shift overnight. Should start to see improving air quality starting tomorrow afternoon, much better by Friday. And as you heard from Nick there, cool ocean air arrives on the weekend. Right now, 82 degrees. In downtown Seattle, I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show on this post-election day edition of the show. I want to welcome Charlie Harger into the show now. Thank you so much for hanging out today.
Yeah,
it's a long day for you guys, and I know you started early. But you wrote a piece that was actually yesterday's, My Northwest, which you can still find, regarding our primary date itself of the first Tuesday in August. And you made a great point that I hadn't even considered, that it may be the stupidest decision state legislation ever made. Tell folks what you wrote and why you wrote it.
So the thing is that August is not a natural time for us to be thinking about our ballots. This is a time that we're out on vacation. Think about how many vacations are happening in your workplace right now. People's mindsets are not on serious things like the election. That's why a lot of states have them earlier. Washington State actually used to have primary elections in September. The political analysts I have spoken to over the year, both Democrats and Republicans, say August is pretty much the worst time you could possibly have for an election because you have reduced turnout, and consequently, you might not have people focusing and choosing, necessarily the best candidate.
I heard Steve Hobbs on yesterday with Gian Ursula talking about the 40% turnout from last year. They expected even less this year. But I saw like 4 other states had their primaries yesterday as well. Could we move it earlier you mentioned sometime in May?
That's my opinion. I could be swayed, but I think we are cyclical, right? So before we hit the summer vacation season where families are busy, when they're thinking about summer type things, right before Memorial Day. My proposal is the Tuesday before Memorial Day we do that. And that gives us 5 months where we can have the top 2 candidates. We can evaluate their positions on different topics. You can have debates, and it really would help shape the direction, the angle, the way we are headed for the November election. A lot of states do it. So there's nothing in the state constitution that says it has to be the first Tuesday in August. It can literally be any date. So I threw it out there that I think it's the last Tuesday before Memorial Day.
Yeah, Charlie, you make a pretty compelling case, as you do with most of your pieces up at mynorthwest.com. And I actually looked this up. How does Washington compare to other states in the union in terms of when we hold our primary, and what is the number one month that most states hold their primaries? And first place is the month of June, about 15 states. May comes in a close second, and August is third. What about some of the counter arguments? Because there is no perfect date, right? Nope. It's all just full of trade-offs. There's a pros and cons column to both. What about the notion that voters might have less information about candidates or measures on the ballot, and also the idea that challengers are then disadvantaged to incumbents who already have name recognition and the like.
I think you bring up a lot of excellent points. I would gently push back by saying this is all a calendar thing. And if we are able to adopt a new calendar, if we are all on the same page for whatever that date would be, the actual date might not matter as much. If we can just agree that the election is going to happen on this day in May or June or whatever, it just takes a lot of political willpower. It takes a lot of, insight from the parties. And frankly, I'm not sure the political parties would necessarily be in favor of that. They, I think, a lot of times are hoping for a lower turnout. That generally tends to support the incumbent.
I think politicians are pretty flexible. If you give them 6 months to campaign, they'll campaign for 6 months. If you give them 3, they'll squeeze their time in.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm with Charlie here that not enough people care about voting or around or paying attention to voting in August. The numbers are in. But there was something else in your article, and I commend you for being brave enough to say this, because a lot of people like to virtue signal with regard to voting. You noted that your ballot was sitting on top of your microwave on election day, and you probably weren't going to vote at all.
Yeah.
You had a line of your things. I think it was, we can lead a horse to water, but we can't make them vote. I'm paraphrasing a little bit.
And I did vote. I will say that I pulled it off of the microwave, and I live like 3 or 4 blocks from a ballot box. So I walked in my flip-flops yesterday afternoon. There was a lady who was driving up. I waved at her. I said, USA. And then I put my ballot in. But yeah, it is one of those things. It's that time of year. I'm not really thinking of it. And here I am. I'm a political nerd. Man, think about all the candidates we have on the show, the different prognosticators, the experts. I love talking about this sort of stuff. And even I was like, yesterday.
Well, you pointed out we couldn't make it easier in the state of Washington.
It's free. Think about this. You don't even need an ID to vote. They mail it to you. You're automatically registered. It shows up in your mailbox. There is no ballot booth you have to go to. If you do it in time, you can put it in your mailbox.
That's what I put it in my. I didn't have to. I didn't put shoes on.
Yeah.
I walked to my mailbox in front of my yard, put it back in. The mailman took it away the next day.
Okay.
And I can track it from my leaving my home all the way through. The state lets me know exactly where my ballot stands in every step of the process.
What does that say about most citizens' opinion of this, so-called sacred and solemn duty we have as voters, that it could not be easier, and yet we still have such a low turnout? I mean, I went through this myself, Charlie. Speaking of summer months, days in August here. Yesterday, my son had football practice. I'm getting my wife ready for a work trip. I've got another son to voting was one of the last things on my mind in this primary election, and I'm neck deep in this stuff on a daily basis, so I can't imagine what it's like for people that, politics is so low on the totem pole of priorities. But there's also a very provocative and compelling piece in the Seattle Times this week about should we or should we not make voting compulsory for Americans. Do you think that would be a net good or a net negative?
I'm thinking Jimothy would win in a landslide if that were to happen.
There you go.
I think of people who really, frankly, don't want to be involved for whatever reason. They are upset about the process. They are offended by the political choices.
A lot of people think their vote doesn't matter in such a blue state.
I look at the text line. I know I see that every morning. My vote does not matter. Well, it does, but unfortunately, that mindset is permeating through a lot of people. And I don't think the political system, the political parties are doing themselves any favor with such toxicity and, tearing people down. But that's a story for another day. So, making it compulsory, I guess it wouldn't really change for me. I vote all the time, but I'm not sure you're really going to get great vote results if it is compulsory.
There was arguments. So we mentioned it yesterday on the show, and there were arguments on the text line. You're going to get uninformed voters. We got that now, but you get this. We do. I mean, people are misinformed or uninformed when they vote, and there was a great argument that, look, if we make it compulsory, let's make it a reward-based system. If you care enough to cast your ballot, we'll give you
Starbucks card.
Well, they were saying you can't file a a standard deduction on your taxes unless you voted. They'll force you to actually itemize your taxes. And there's arguments both ways on that thing, but I'm all for more people voting. The fact that 60% of Americans don't care enough to get involved in this system is embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, think of poor Jimothy, too. He had these dreams of
Are you going to the game? It's Jimothy night at the ballpark. Are you going, apparently?
Oh, no, I'm asleep by that time. Are you crazy?
It's a young man's game. Evening fun is a young man's game. Troy Hargett, great piece on My Northwest. We really appreciate you sticking around today to share it with us. I hope you voted yesterday. The results are in across the state for most of the primaries. We give them to you all day long. Coming up next, we're going to have our last thoughts of the day, last call, your text line interaction with us. We'll be right back after these. Thanks again, Charlie.
Choke Points with Chris Sullivan.
With Choke Points, we try to answer listeners' questions. It can be as simple as a neighborhood stop sign, or it can be as big as the budget for transportation. I don't care. I'll find the answer for you. It's really easy to get a hold of me at mynorthwest.com. We have a direct link there that gets right to me. You can also do it in the app. You can hit me up on the text line.
Choke Points, presented by Carter Subaru. Tuesdays and Thursdays on KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM.
Hey, Spike O'Neill for Ageless Living. And before you picture what you think senior living communities look like, stop. These are luxury communities, chef-prepared meals, resort-style amenities, and a level of care that has earned them recognition most senior living providers would only dream of. Voted Best of Western Washington. Ageless was ranked the #1 senior living community in all of America for 2025 by Seniorly magazine. They analyzed 1 million reviews from over 60,000 communities nationwide, and Ageless was ranked #1. Do yourself a favor. Go visit an Ageless Living facility near you. Go to agelessliving.com/spike and schedule a visit today.
Jason Rance here. If your water heater is getting older, leaking, or running out of hot water, CM Heating has an affordable solution. Get a new gas or electric water heater installed starting at just $44.99 a month. With CM Heating's Comfort as a Service program, you'll get lifetime repairs and maintenance at no extra charge. Parts and labor covered for life. Plus, same-day installation is available in many cases. Schedule your free estimate today at cmheating.com.
License number CMHEAHL 750LP.
When I hit my 50s, I felt like things were slowing down.
This is Sandra's Metamucil story.
I started taking Metamucil for digestion, but had no idea it would impact so much more. Not only did Metamucil help me feel more regular, but my heart health saw the benefits too.
Metamucil. One simple routine, 4 health benefits. Digestive health starts here. Go to Metamucil.com for more details.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here with my buddy Shannon O'Kelly from IRG Physical and Hand Therapy. So much more than just physical and hand therapy, though, Shannon. You guys, holy smokes, do you have a lot of specialty care?
Yeah, Brock, we do. You know, obviously our nuts and bolts is good old musculoskeletal, but we have a lot of therapists that do advanced certifications in specialty care. And that's important because we can treat the whole population. We can treat your neighborhood. We can treat your family. And those specialty services range from neurovestibular care to dry needling, sports medicine, hand therapy, pelvic floor, vestibular rehab, lymphedema, you name it, we have that service. Again, we're about taking care of the whole family and the whole family's needs.
Remember, IRG, they're in your neighborhood. I'm talking over 40 locations and new additions in Wallingford and the WAC as well, that Washington Athletic Club. You can find them in person. You can find it online at irgpt.com. That is irgpt.com.
Here it comes, possibly the biggest online midsummer auction anywhere of heavy equipment, trucks, tools, lumber, and much more. Presented by the Murphy Auction Company, bidding gets underway at 10 a.m. Thursday, August 6th, and closes at 10 a.m. August 13th. Featured items include a 2020 Bobcat E32i excavator with less than 1,000 hours, a 2016 Freightliner 2100 Hydrovac truck, a 2011 John Deere 310J 4x4 backhoe, and much more. 10 excavators, 4 backhoes, 11 forklifts, 5 boom and scissor lifts, 5 rollers, 28 golf carts, and more than 60 heavy trucks. But wait, there's more. Attachments, roll-off boxes, shipping containers, contractor tools, lumber, and much more all go into the highest bidder. Preview all items August 11th and 12th, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at our location in Marysville, 3803 136th Street Northeast. For pictures, catalogs, and all details, visit murphyauction.com.
What if you could have the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years guaranteed? Now through August 24th, new Xfinity customers can get our best price on gig Wi-Fi this summer before it disappears. Just $50 a month for 5 years. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a 6th sense. Plus, it keeps you protected from online threats. And get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. Learn more at Xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.
It's the best time of the year at Staples, with back-to-school supplies as low as 25 cents, up to 40% off select tech and more at staples.com/back-to-school. Nearly half the homes in Western Washington are not properly insulated or not insulated at all. Sound like your home? Then call for your free inspection.
InsulationNorthwest.com.
Hello, sweltering Seattle. John Curley here. Is your home staying cool? Are you losing sleep because it's just too hot? At Home Comfort Alliance, the goal is not to sell you a new system. It's to fix the one that you have. Repair first, replace only if it truly makes sense, saving you time and money. If your system's done, a heat pump gives you both cooling and heating for year-round comfort. Get real pricing in 60 seconds at HomeComfortAlliance.com. Call the comfort people. Home Comfort Alliance.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. It's last call time for your points of view to be shared with the audience. Greg Tallman, thanks very much for filling in today.
Thank you, Spike.
Always a pleasure to have you on. Laura, do you want to start us off with the...
Yeah, we got a few more that came in on Talking Politics. Bill in Lake Stevens says, I do sales for a living and I own a small business, so I do not talk politics and I do not post my opinion online.
Dave adds, I'm just here so I don't get fined. Works perfectly when somebody asks you a political question. That is pretty funny, actually.
I love it, man. Lewis in Buckley says, I will talk when there is true compromise. Boy, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
The C word.
Yeah.
Brian in Marysville says, in our family, we used to talk politics often until Trump. Trump has single-handedly ruined political talk in our family. I was a right-leaning voter for my entire life until Trump. I try to stay as centered as I possibly can, but I refuse to support Trump or anyone who supports him. I look forward to the day when my family can go back to normal conversation.
Amen, and pass the sweet potatoes. I'm on Thanksgiving without him.
On the subject of the arson suspect in the Spokane wildfires, the 360 chimes in. Dude killed his father. Not much worse a guy than that.
Yeah, Adam in Bonnie Lake says, the arson guy killed his dad years ago. He should have been in jail still.
Bruce in Capitol Hill says, what would be an acceptable prison term for somebody that has caused this much damage?
Yeah, that's a great question because he's an arsonist. Do you factor in the fact that 65,000 people have been displaced, that 700 structures have been
millions in damages?
Right. I mean, it's a lot different than somebody who started a fire that burned a dumpster. So it's a great question to ask. Joey says, what if he's responsible for all 3 fires? Well, we don't know that. We don't know the origin of the other 2 fires. They may be naturally started. They may be lightning strikes So far, there's been no indication that this individual is responsible for all three.
And on drones interfering with firefighting efforts, Fernando in Seattle says, can't they shoot down the drones?
Well, good point.
I think they'd have a good case for that.
I wouldn't argue against it. Josh in Auburn says there are rules to fly a drone safely. People are just idiots. Don't go straight to saying, oops, let's restrict more things. People, I understand everybody wants to be first with this hot footage, no pun intended, of a wildfire, but they're trying to put these fires out. Please don't fly your drones.
On the subject of Abdul El Sayed's primary win in Michigan and a shift towards the extremes in politics, Brant in the 360 writes, Spike, who is this guy? Medicare for all is not far left. I think Brant was referring to me.
Yeah, who is this guy? Greg Tomlin's his name.
El Sayed's some of his positions as being far left progressive.
Earl in T-Town says, Spike, everyone said there was no way Trump would get elected the first time. Anything is possible in this whacked political climate. We're screwed either way. Until we have real term limits and age limits, we are doomed.
Yeah, he's not wrong. And again, our best wishes to Mitch McConnell. I think. Eric in Columbia City, the true Trump derangement syndrome is Republicans who know better but still support this guy.
Melissa in Hobart, we need more Republicans running who are like Michelle Bennett, the Mercer Island PD chief who's running for state representative. She's an excellent example of a middle-of-the-road Republican/Democrat, and I truly hope she wins.
Right.
On Costco Chicken, Mark in Lake Stephen says, my wife makes an insane chicken noodle soup. Thanks, Costco.
All right. 253, I agree it's delicious, but there are more chemicals in that chicken than there are chicken in that chicken. I don't know about that.
That's what the lawsuit's over.
Well, I've always thought it is weird because it's sitting in like some plastic, right? And it's under like the hot lights.
Oh, yeah,
for
let's not
hours
even
on
get
it.
into
Certainly there's
chemicals.
some micro plastics that are seeping into the
wonderful.
seasoning. On Jimothy night at the ballpark at T-Mobile Park, Bill in Lake Stevens writes, the Mariners are the Jimothy of the MLB.
Oh my gosh, we've got a short
Felt
spot.
that way last night. Doug in Mount Vernon says, Jimothy t-shirts tend to bunch up in the middle.
Oh, I get it.
360 says, yeah, Spike, I'm with him. Let's get some garlic fries and a dumpster and a little side trash can full of dipping sauce. Brilliant.
And Josh in Auburn adds, Spike, your garbage can idea for the drinks or the food at the stadium is awesome. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise because you're good enough. You're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you, Spike.
I don't know, Greg. I hadn't realized that maybe the idea of, the visual of pulling garlic fries out of a dumpster and putting a trash can up your lips to quench your thirst might not be.
This is just now occurring to you for the first time.
Great minds. You got to suspend, when you brainstorm, when you group think like that.
You can't be afraid to fail with your ideas, Spike.
I'll be back here again tomorrow, as will you. Afraid to fail. Yeah, never be afraid to fail. Folks, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. The John Curley Show is next. John will have the latest of everything for you. We appreciate your time. See you tomorrow. Don't go anywhere.
A wildfire disaster unfolding just east of us.
The Spokane fires
destroyed hundreds of homes and forced tens of thousands to evacuate.
Unprecedented stories of loss, devastation, and heartbreak.
It was a beautiful home. It really was.
And there was a lot of terror because it's loud, it's hot.
Join KIRO News Radio in doing whatever you can for our neighbors in Spokane. See how you can help at mynorthwest.com.
This is Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. Our summertime savings event means zero down, zero payments, and zero interest for up to 24 months, backed by our unbeatable warranties. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today.
Our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn, understands the pressure that comes from owing money to the IRS. Don't let that pressure build. Call None Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. Google NUNN. None Better Tax Resolution.
For 250 years, Americans have believed in one powerful idea, that we are meant to live free. Free to work hard, free to move, free to enjoy life without being held back. But if the natural effects of aging are slowing you down, it might be time to declare your independence from aging. John Curley here. Longevity Medical Clinic has been treating the undesirable effects of aging for nearly 30 years. They have more clinical experience with actual patient care than any longevity practice in the country. I've been a patient for 17 years. Wow, time flies when you got a lot of energy. I don't know where I'd be today without longevity. Longevity Medical Clinic was started so people can get back to living life on their own terms, walking, working, exercising, and enjoying the moments that matter most. This year, as we celebrate 250 years of American independence, take a stand for your own freedom. Get your free health analysis at Longevity Medical Clinic. Find out more at lmclinic.com.
This is it. These are the nights. The ones where you laugh until you can't anymore. And smile until your head hits the pillow. Where everything feels just right. Because it is. Muckleshoot Casino Resort. Must be 21 and over. Please gamble responsibly.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sleep Number's new collections are designed to adapt to the changing nature of your life and your sleep needs. Whether it's the personalized comfort of the Comfort Mode mattress, the targeted pressure relief of the Comfort Next mattress, or the Climate Collection that actively cools or warms to help you fall asleep and stay asleep.
And now, get early access to